Whoa!
Hello.
Welcome.
Don't go drink.
Some good water.
Wow,
right
that
there.
is. I hope there ain't no spinal fluid in that one. Welcome back,
Ooh.
friends, family, frickers, all of you,
Trolls.
to Beyond the Basement.
The complete breakdown podcast. Let's go.
Man, it gets real metal in this episode. We'll get into that in just a second. But
That Zeke booty is metal.
No,
if you're new with
please.
us for the first time, I'm Eric. Over here we have
I'm Rachel.
I'm Peter. Welcome.
Welcome to the show. It's gonna go off tonight because season 4 is finally back. Part 2 is finally back. We have a lot of stuff to cover. If you have been tracking with us all, if you found us on YouTube, we're back. I know we took like a hiatus there. We're gonna be doing Demon Slayer probably. I don't know. We haven't really talked about that, but anyway, podcast is back. YouTube stuff is back, including the reaction videos. Which, listen, you give the people what they want. I was never like, oh, we should do reaction. People were just like, you should do them, and they worked out really well. People like watching them. So you're gonna see a reaction video tonight if you're listening to this live, of course. And if you aren't listening to this live, you're listening to this after the fact. You can find us Sunday nights at 5 Pacific time. We'll be broadcasting
Twitch.
On the Twitch.
On Twitch.
/ Beyond the Basement Podcast.
Okay, so we are on episode numero 76, I believe.
Correct.
Which I think is episode
AKA
17 of the season.
4, episode 17.
The
Yeah.
last season.
The
final.
The
season.
final last
Why they couldn't
deluxe
why they couldn't just make it a season
special
5 and 6?
I don't know.
Anyway, they didn't, but they should have. Okay, so let's do a quick recap of the episode, just in case you're listening to this in the future. So
Everything's crazy.
everything is nuts. I basically could describe this with Zeke's butt, Titan fight, and
Weeping and
Onyankopon lets people
gnashing
out of
of
prison.
teeth.
Is that
Yeah.
enough? Like,
Yeah.
okay, now you know what episode I'm talking about? Okay, a slightly more thorough one would include the fact that we actually first encounter Levi and Flock and Hanjay in that whole scene. We pick up right up where the last one left off, and we see his severed fingers and his bloody face.
He's got like wood sticking out of his neck and his cheek. And it's
Just
not
with a scratch.
It's.
Send me a flesh
Oh,
wound.
totally a flesh wound. So
I'm very upset.
that whole scene plays out with Zeke coming out of the Titan, which is super weird. We'll get to that. Zeke's butt. And then we get to Hanjay grabs Levi's body and jumps in the river. Okay, she takes off with that. So we get to the new title scene, which we're going to get into that. I have a funny story to tell you that is awesome. And yeah, we see kind of, again, so a little bit of the last episode sort of replays here where Eren's transforming. Piek is saving Gabby. And Gabby's like, what's going on? You're not a traitor. And she's like, I don't trust Marely. So basically this whole fight starts to unfold a little bit more. And we get the paratroopers. We see Reiner coming down. We got Magath. Like, everybody's here. Colt's here. Like, got the whole freaking gang.
Got some headshots happening.
Yeah, headshots happening. The whole fight between Eren and them finally plays out. Elena tries to stop Eren. Eren freaking just like ignores her and is like, F off. We find out Piek shows up with Magath. They put the pieces together about whatchamacallit, about
Zeke's bloodline.
Zeke's bloodline. The whole Titan fight is really freaking awesome. I know there's not as much to say about that, but it was fun to watch. Eren gets hit. Eren does Warhammer Titan stuff. He gets shot in the head, gets kind of decommissioned there. His motor skills get shut out, and he gets ran through by Reiner and actually pinned there, which for this episode, for the rest of the episode. So he doesn't actually, we don't see like what ultimately happens here. And then the scene we'll probably have to spend the most time on, of course, is the prison scene. Onyankopon lets the remaining scouts, the non-Jaegerist, non-Marleyans, the third partiers, he lets them out, and they kind of have this whole, they have a long conversation. We'll get into the details there. Okay, so with that said, let's jump into the very first scene here and talk about the saddest of all the sad moments. We've been talking about this for months now. If Levi is dead, why bother keep watching the show? Like, is there anything to see here?
Yeah, if Team Levi's gone, then if they've taken from us Sasha,
And Levi.
if they've taken from us,
Marco.
Marco.
They took Marco in season
They
1.
took Marco in season 1. Every season, Isayama has to take something from us.
They took Erwin.
That's what I'm saying. If they take Erwin, if they took Marco,
Dude.
if they took Sasha, and now they're going to take Levi from us, what do we have left? Okay?
I'm not crying over Bertolt, though. That's the only one I'm not cooking.
Yeah, go ahead. No,
He's fine.
we'll swap
But the
them.
rest of them, come on, dude. Come on.
Yeah. I love Chad Connie.
Chad Connie
showing up in this episode.
Fucking boss, yeah.
Finally, for the first time, like in his whole career, Armin and Connie, like they grew a spine. They Titan formed into a spine, and
I
they're
would have
like,
never called myself a Connie fan until this episode. Actually, not that I
was always
like him,
sympathetic to him.
Yeah, same. But
especially when like
he
got
was
betrayed.
there for comedic relief.
His
you
village?
know?
Yeah.
But his village and his mom being a Titan and stuff.
Yeah,
that's pretty sad.
That sucked.
Okay, so anyway, it's Levi.
Cornelius
Conrad.
What? Okay, if you are just listening to the podcast, you need to watch us
You're
live.
such a troll.
The chat is the best. Okay, so his fingers are off, and I made this comment, which is that means they're not coming back. Okay, as far as we know, he has no Titan powers unless we discover something new about Ackerman's. Levi doesn't. Even if he survives this, Homeboy doesn't have his fingers.
He's missing some fingers.
They're going to have to either
his orange slice days are over, most likely.
Okay.
Possibly / likely. Don't you think
We
Levi
have
at
to
the
put
very
that
least?
in a high probability of most likely he's never going to fight and kill Titans again.
That's what I think.
Most likely, the best thing we can hope for is that he lives and we're able to use his strategic mind to organize a resistance to do something that's good and clean really well. That's the only thing most likely.
Yeah.
But he's not going to
for.
fulfill his promise.
However,
He did have a promise
this
to Erwin.
is a manga. Therefore, nothing's off the table. Nothing is fully off the table
Ever.
until the end.
Yeah.
So
Levi the Jeez.
he'll find a way. Okay.
Oh, yeah, he will. Hey, listen. With as much brain power as he probably has left after the accident, a Roomba's about right, I would think.
Come on, don't say that. Don't say that.
So he's got shrapnel in his face. Hanji is obviously like shocked to see him and stuff.
Yeah.
And they, and then nearby, and by nearby I mean like literally right stinking there. You remember at the end of the last episode, Zeke had to Zeke was all blown up to pieces, or we thought he might be dead.
Yeah.
Of course he's not. But
this creepy pregnant-looking Titan like ripped open its stomach and shoved him in there.
It's so gross. I thought the Titan was going to walk off. It sort of made it look like it was going to just walk off somewhere, but it apparently didn't go very far because it's like a few yards away.
So here's the thing, though. If you want to know, like, okay, maybe my leaders are a little bit messed up, but overall, are we fighting for like a righteous cause? Are we doing like the best thing we could possibly do in this scenario? And then you have those in your midst to go, oh, good thing Levi got blown up. Wow, now we have to deal with him. I'll go put a bullet in his lifeless corpse. Like,
yeah, that was a little extreme.
Show the man who you've dubbed your enemy an iota of respect. The man who has led the scouts, who has gone on more successful missions and survived time after time. The man who has the most recorded kills.
Yeah, I was say there's this thing that happens in movies, but this happened in real life in actual wartime as well, where you vanquish a particularly
tenacious enemy.
Yeah, a foe that is the worst there ever was, and you finally kill him or her. Or even if you don't kill them, if they just die, there's this thing where you're like, well, respect for your craft at least. You know what I mean? Like we didn't like what you stood for. The fact that you opposed us, we hated you, or you killed many of our friends, and so on and so forth. But the day you die, we don't desecrate your grave. We might, but for a second after your death, we're gonna respect the craft. Like, we respect the fact that the man, or one, or whoever, fought and was a worthy adversary. That it took a lot for death to finally come to them.
You live by honor, you die by honor.
Flock doesn't have an ounce of that in his dirty, rotten, redheaded soul. Let me tell you, it is just
right.
Sorry, but he doesn't have a soul. I'm just kidding.
So they go.
What soul?
They go. Oh man, what happened? This is crazy. Even Commander Levi got taken out. Wow, that's really sad. But I am glad I don't have to fight him. You know, rest in peace. They don't go. I'm gonna put a bullet in his stupid skull. Oh, look at this weak. Like, you don't even know what he's been through. Okay. You ain't killed 30 Titans by yourself. Your own comrades.
Were your men under your command?
In their defense, Levi's gone through stuff that he's been messed up before and still killed off with these Titans solo. So he's so threatening that they're like, okay, no, unless we're sure he's dead, like I can at least sort of level with him. So all right, so they're like, yeah, we're gonna let's shoot him. Our biggest threat, lucky us, our biggest threat is in a bloody mess on the ground. Mm-hmm. They must feel some relief here because he's definitely one of the he's not come into the Jaegerist cause. He's super freaking dangerous by himself, as proven by the fact he just killed 30 Titans that were his own friends. And so they're like, "Oh, we're gonna shoot him," but Hanji stops him just in time. Is like, "Hey, a thunder spear went off in his face. The shrapnel is embedded in him, it shredded his insides and killed him instantly."
Yeah.
And Flock, as any suspicious person should be at this point, is like, "Well, let me take his pulse, basically. Like, let's make sure.
Let me see him.
Let me see him. Let me make sure he's dead." And we get a really fortunate turn of events right here because everybody gets distracted by pregnant Titan. So.
Yeah.
All the steam starts being sucked into the pregnant Titan, and it seems like it's sucking the very rain out of the air, and the sun starts to come out.
Yeah, it's a very interesting moment.
Yeah.
The music changes, the rain stops, the sun starts to shine through as something is new birthed.
And then the Titan turns into a skeleton.
I like that scene in Ace Ventura. Where
It reminded me of that, actually.
Nothing like that scene.
He's naked.
No, it totally reminded me of that, especially the way he like flops out from the pelvis area. I was like, it's like he's being born. This is gross. Also, why is he naked?
Born again. Now, here's the thing is,
interesting.
Hanji takes advantage of this moment.
Yeah, so Hanji jumps in the water with Levi's body, which obviously is not, I mean.
why would you sacrifice?
Makes a good point.
Yeah, why would you sacrifice yourself to save a body when you're trying to survive? You wouldn't. Why would you be suspicious of letting Flock check the pulse and leave if he's not still alive? So we think he's still alive, or she's going to use his body as cover, which is really sad, and I hope that's not the case, but we're pretty sure he's still alive. Charlock says,
yeah, this is a good comment.
How freaking ironic. Zeke, who is against ever being born, gets reborn.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Gets the second shot. Him, who's trying to fulfill something for his pseudo father, like, is all emotional about making sure no one's ever born again.
Okay, but do you remember when he dies? Or well, he doesn't die, but when he gets blown up, he goes like, "Father, like, do you see me?" He explodes, and the first thing happens is he comes back and he's like reborn in this sunlight. Like, it is definitely, it's a beautiful scene. It's very well done, but also it's like, I think this has more implications than we could put a finger on.
For sure. So, all right. So this scene, let's get to the next part because this is where it gets really interesting. So he pops out naked. It's super weird for a second.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, so Hanji kind of gets away with Levi's body. They fire some rounds of the water, but it looks like she's at this point successfully gotten away. We hope. Mm-hmm. They're fairly well distracted. So Zeke comes out and he looks completely surprised and
peaceful. He looks
It's
peaceful.
like he ate the Titan from the inside.
Yeah. So they ask him what happened, and he says, I don't know.
I don't know.
He says there was a little girl, like he's in some strange like parallel universe or something. Maybe he's in the Upside Down.
Maybe.
Oh, what you didn't know?
Oh, it's a Stranger Things AOT connection.
Yes. Attack on Titan is actually the prequel to Stranger Things in anime.
Okay.
So
11 is Eren's kid, actually.
It turns out, yeah. Okay, so he's in the Upside Down. They said there's a little girl who was building my body with what looked like something like soil.
Yeah,
it was a strange place, and I was watching it all happen. It felt like years passed, but at the same time, they passed in an instant. And then we'll kind of get to the second part in a second. But I just want just that little bit. Homeboy, we know what just happened is not normal so far. Mm-hmm. Recovering as a Titan from serious injuries, not surprising at all. It is surprising that he survived, if that's what happened.
Right. But nobody has ever mentioned anything like this except for Ymir.
Yes.
We see a scene where we assumed she was just out in the desert of behind the walls.
Yeah.
And that's when she's looking at the paths. Maybe she wasn't.
Maybe she wasn't.
Experienced the paths.
Maybe when she was under the earth, like because it had covered her up, she had a Titan dream or something.
That's what I'm saying.
She was dreaming of being there.
They said the same thing.
Because she was laying in that sand. She was looking at that same sky. It was the same.
It seemed like it lasted forever.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like she was there.
Yeah.
And Zeke says, a strange little girl, was building my body out of the soil.
And there was like a bucket of water next to her too.
And keep in mind, he does come out of this thing and physically like fully repaired. Like he's all limbs, everything's intact here. When he was, again, not crazy that they would recover or regrow limbs. Titan shifters have done that this whole show, but certainly the way it happened, where he was like stuck like a pure Titan put in, like a pure Titan's instinct would be to eat a Titan shifter. Oh, look, a human or any human, right? I'm going to eat this one. If Zeke's alive, we understand he has some kind of control over them, which is weird in and of itself.
Right.
That
he can do that. Because we assume because he's royal, but he has some control over them. And Zeke doesn't have that. He's not conscious. But the Titan does it anyway. It's as if he's given it an order and it follows through.
Yeah, Sean says that the Ymir had just been reborn herself as well.
Yeah, it's
she had
true.
just eaten Marcel, had just become Titan Shifter, and that's when she came out of the dream.
Oh,
that's when she
yeah.
said paths.
Dude.
There's
So-
something there.
Yeah,
and Ymir was
Ymir
naked,
was
yeah.
also naked. Yeah.
So there's a guy. This is
So
a great
let's take
connection.
off our clothes.
no,
Hey, oh no, okay.
no.
Not. It's not for the podcast.
Listen, the only denominator here is being naked and seeing the past.
And seeing the past.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so
Also,
if we just
cannibalism. So no.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, my bad.
So all right, but I want to get to the little girl. Okay, so he goes to the blue plane and the soil and the path. We've seen this little girl in a few different places. Season 4 trailer, I think
Yeah.
maybe we get a scene of her. The outro, I believe, is season 4, and then
Isn't
was there
she
any-
in one of the
there's this-
outros of season 3?
That's what I
or
said.
two?
There's something before
We've
that.
seen her
It's
before.
foggy, but we've
It was
seen
the
this.
creepy one.
Yeah.
We saw her in the creepy one.
We've
Yeah.
seen her shape and her figure or whatever before. Little girl, kind
She's
of
always
bouncing
got
around.
the
some.
tattered headband.
You never see her eyes.
Her eyes are like not there, but they're there, and yeah.
Yeah. So we've assumed for a while, having seen that character, we've actually been calling that character Ymir. The originator, like she's the
OG.
it, you know, the one who quote made a deal with the devil or
Touched something in the water.
Touched something in the water.
Tentacly in the water.
There's all this murky history. We've been saying this since we've been restarting the podcast here. There's like so much history in this show that we've been told that we're not sure of, because it seems like there's as much propaganda as there's truth mixed in with the events of the past. And so we definitely don't know yet. Hopefully we'll find out. We definitely don't know exactly what happened.
Yeah, we want to take a minute too, just to recognize how hard it is to build to world build, right? To build this whole, lore out, this whole entire world of here's the Titans, here's the countries, here's these guys, here's this person's motivation, right? World building is like a really beautiful, if done well thought out process. And you have guys like Tolkien, you got J.K. Rowling, you've got all these different like worlds that
the
are
Christopher
built.
Nolan films of similar, yeah.
Sure. And so here Isayama has built out a whole world, but he's built a world out that makes you that you're actually not sure of what is true history or not. You've seen a whole world. You've seen many people's perspectives. You've seen many people's takes on what happened in the past, but it's all actually kind of fuzzy. And so you built a whole world. Us as the viewer have no idea what actually happened in history. And that's kind of hard to do and also very impressive. It leaves you with this mysterious detective feeling that it reminds me of from season 1 that I had.
Yeah,
There's
same.
something more to be learned. What else is behind there?
I agree.
And so this scene right here, to me, this 5-second scene of Ymir rebuilding Zeke, of something going on there, is the most like satisfactory part of this whole episode. I love the fighting. I love Onyankopon's speech, but I really love this part because I know something else is going on. And I've been hungry for that since season 1 to find out what's behind the curtain.
Yeah. Yeah, there's one, since we're on the subject, I just want to say this because it's coming to mind, but the Ymir scene where she was out in her Titan dream and so on and so forth, she was out there for, what would you say, 70 years, 80 years? 60 years? It was more than 50 years for sure. I want to say 60 or 70.
I think she said 60 years.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
So she's out there wandering, and how do we know that was even the correct time? I don't know how she knows that. It seems like that'd be a hard thing to determine, but let's say she's correct. It's 60 or 70 years or something like that.
Okay.
The Titan War was only supposedly 100 years ago. So she's out there doing this thing like shortly after. All I'm saying is whoever now has Ymir's memories, who does have them? It's
Jaw
Galliard.
Titan.
yeah, Galliard has them. Galliard must. It maybe hasn't accessed them yet. I don't know. Like how Titan memories in general are kind of seem to work in a weird way. But he must have some kind of perspective on this whole thing that like would be unique. So I almost wonder if his character comes back around and like
It's possible.
we get something.
Unless somebody eats him.
Well, I think he will. I just don't think we haven't built enough of Galliard to. There's not enough like behind him. I don't think for him to like survive. I think it'll be sad. I think Peek's gonna be really sad when he dies or gets eaten. But I can almost guarantee you it's Falco because Falco has the serum in him. I think it's just bound to happen.
Because you're saying basically what your assumption is, because we haven't really had a good character backstory for Galliard, you think he's gonna die. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
That would
logic.
be consistent with this.
It wouldn't be inconsistent, but also who has Isayama taken from us?
True,
Some of the
it's
people
true.
we've cared about the most.
Yeah.
So I would
It's like,
say
hey, care about this
in
character,
most shows,
and now
I
they're
100%
dead.
agree. Here's a random red shirt. Oh, he's gonna die. Here's this other Titan. You're like, I don't really care about this guy. He could die, But also, I wouldn't be surprised if she almost like, and this person you really care
Also.
about, Hanji too. Like, please, God, you know.
Oh my gosh, please.
Okay, so moving on here, Flock's like, you turned the 30 scouts into Titans, and he's like, yes, I did. Well, where are they? Well, see, there's this guy named Levi.
Yeah, you
Shredded
must
them
not
all.
know.
You guys thought that he wouldn't kill his own men, and you were wrong.
You thought wrong.
So then he drops the line. Zeke drops the line. Nobody. They're all gone, but there's nobody here who can get in our way now. All we can do is move forward. Isn't that right, Eren?
Yeah. And the way he says it, his mannerisms, his eyes, like no more glasses Levi is coming online, and it's intense. Like
Yeah,
if to me, as a plot device, this is going to be a perfect opportunity. If Zeke never has his glasses again, we know he's changed as a character. He's reborn Zeke. He's no glasses Zeke, and this is a little bit of a different Zeke than we've seen before.
But he actually says, "I don't know."
If he goes back to his glasses, then I'm like, okay, they're settling him back into the character that we've always known. But I'm pretty sure this is a significant scene
There's
saying
gonna be a
something's
change.
changed. Now, I'm not saying it's for the better or for the worse.
Right.
I just know that there's a significant change, and this is a good indicator for us as visual viewers to be like, no, this guy's different.
Yeah. Well, all I'm saying is there's a gap in his memory.
Yeah.
At the very, very least, I don't think he remembers.
What else happened in the paths? What else did he see that he can't remember? All he remembers is the soil building part, but what else? Another thing I'll say is one of the things that made me the most frustrated is, right, Berthold, he talks about like the memories of stuff. He talks about like having connections and stuff. Armin eats him, and immediately we don't have like a 6-month like process where Hanji's like experimenting
remember?
with Armin to get to the heart of the memories, to get more information. Because remember, information in this war has been key.
Yeah.
And we don't have it, and that's why we suffer, right?
Plus, I'd be taking Armin out to the desert and having him transform like every day that he possibly could.
Right,
Like, yo,
right.
like, learn this thing.
Yo,
because
just make your pinky toe go colossal. That's it. You know, try it. Okay, sneeze, go colossal. You know, like, but we never have that. I think it's because they had to rush off to save Eren. They had to go to Liberio quickly. Like all these things had to happen quickly, and so they didn't, at least that we know of, get serious time to like start doing hardcore science on Armin to figure out, dude, what do you know about Berthold? Where did he come from? Tell me about his family.
Yeah.
And someone said because he didn't have a Galliard, because he didn't have a blood relation to Ymir, it's harder to access the memories. Which that could be true about Armin and
They
Berthold,
do kind
obviously,
of
as
hint
well.
to that in the anime with the royal family. They seem to have easier access to previous memories because they're always passing it down to a blood
Related.
relative.
Interesting.
Yeah, they keep it in the family.
Same with Warhammer Titan. They always are passing
yeah,
it
the
to a
Tybers.
blood relative.
And
And
they
there's
say-
probably a reason for that. And
I
Okay.
understand it now.
Yeah.
So
That
things
makes
get
more
more
sense.
blurry. But what if Armin would go and he would touch Historia? Would he then get some clarity, just like Eren when he touched Historia got some clarity on some more memories?
Oh, you're saying do other Titans have any kind of special interactions with the royal? I want to say no, only because Zeke's been that the whole time. It seems like he must have had some contact with the other shifters in Marely, and if nothing happened with them, then maybe
Okay.
not. Okay, so let's get to this next scene. We get again bit of a recap. We get see Magath and the whole crew up in the airship, and they're like, "Oh, there's the smoke signal. There's the founding Titan. Let's get revenge for Liberio," which feels like an eternity ago, and it feels like you're on. Listen, bro, you're down here. We're up here. Okay, we're on the freaking macro. We know the real what's going on. You're like concerned about Liberio. So like that ain't nothing.
We're
Like,
concerned about the world.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, Liberio.
General McGath.
But if we put ourselves in these shoes of the people that just saw their own hometown get slaughtered, absolutely, this is what they'd be thinking. Like, you can't come into my homeland and kill everybody. We're gonna get revenge on you. It's only been a month. Eren, like,
exactly. They give us the time frame. It's only been a month.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, General Magath. Yeah, he keeps correcting everybody the whole time. It's actually pretty hilarious. They're like,
It's
Commander Magath.
General.
He's like, it's General, dang it.
Assistant to the regional manager. So they said let's put an end to this. We're gonna fight this thing out right now. A bunch of paratroopers drop down. They drop out a big package, which we find out is just a gun, the anti-Titan gun, and we see a bunch of paratroopers with freaking Barrett. What looks like Barrett 50 cal sniper rifles, like legit sniper rifles.
Most of them look like they have M1As, or they're actually bolt action. So what would they be?
Well, especially in a circa World War II, there was no such like high cal sniper rifles have always been around, but not ones that look like that.
Sure,
it's fiction.
What would be
It's
the
fiction.
bolt action equivalent in World War II times? In Einfield? That be
Well,
the
and
most?
Enfield was the British one or whatever. Like, so most of the standard issue like rifles of World War II specifically, a lot of them were essentially just sniper rifles when you stuck a scope on them and sighted them in better, right?
Sure. But I'm
So
saying
the K98 or whatever.
K98, yeah, would be the bolt action equivalent. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Someone said, does that make Reiner war chief now? I would say so.
Oh.
War Chief Reiner.
I mean, who else is left? Him and Galliard.
Yeah, he was second in command to Zeke. So as soon as
Interesting.
Zeke died, he became war chief.
Dang.
Yeah. Good comment.
Okay, so we get this next part where Piek is like, Porco, help us out. We're chained together here, and he freaking cuts
Just
her arm off. Like,
She looks at him like, help me out. And then he does that and they both scream.
I want that meme where the hand with basically her hand drops down on the handcuff, and they both girls,
go,
they look at it, they scream. I'm like, that's a perfect meme.
So they get free, and Piek transforms. Obviously, she launches herself off the wall, transforms, and comes up and grabs.
Has a little Gabby snack.
Yeah, and she grabs Gabby. The whole riding around in the mouth is is this like a Jonah and the
Gross.
whale type of thing, or where's this one come from? Anyway, so she picks up Gabby and runs off with her. So Porco's kind of done his job. Galliard runs off himself. This seems like a tactical retreat. It's pretty obvious. They're trying to set this fight up in their favor.
You can't 1v1 Eren as the Jaw Titan, I don't think. Like, not with all the powers he has and the focus he has. So one thing we were saying beforehand is, Eren was having trouble at one point, getting into Titan form. He could only do a half Titan or a partial Titan. He couldn't do a full transform. He was bleeding. His nose was bleeding. And they realized, well, if you have clarity of mind, like if you have confidence, you have clarity of mind and a goal in front of you, you go full Titan. And this is like the most focused we've seen Eren in a long time. Like Liberia, obviously, he had a goal. And here he's like, come, Reiner, I want to fight you.
Yeah.
Very interesting
Then
point.
punches his face off.
Because remember what happened in the last episode when we last saw Reiner and Eren in Liberio, Eren does not kill him. He does not eat him and take his Titan. He literally does the worst thing strategically possible. He leaves him to regenerate and heal, come back and fight him again another day. Is that what Eren wants? Does Eren just want a good fight with Reiner, full health Reiner? Or is he planning something else? Did he spare him for a reason?
Yeah. There's obviously more to the story. You remember their whole conversation in the underneath the stage in Liberio and so on. Like, I think there's more to the story between Eren and Reiner in particular, because they have this whole conversation. And I remember when we got to that conversation, and even kind of some of it was like in the trailer and stuff, all of us were talking about how, okay, look, this kind of proves an interesting theory, which is that like Eren starts to understand Reiner and them a little bit once he finds out that they were kind of forced into this thing. Like there's some.
I'm the same as you, Eren.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Or
as
I'm
you.
the same as you, Reiner. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just there's some brotherhood or bond, or there's something there.
Which is why I think there's more to it than just, oh, I'm gonna leave you to regain heal and I'm gonna fight you and kill you now. I think he wants something more. What he wants, I could not tell you. However, this is really great. I missed this. Great comment.
Yeah, I saw this comment as well.
Reiner stabs Eren with the spear from the shards of the Warhammer, right as Magath is talking about Helos.
Yeah, we need another hero.
We had the spear. We need another hero. Another person who's going to give their life to stand up and save the world.
Yeah, but Helos was fiction. That's the problem.
But could Reiner be that hero?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Gabby. I thought Gabby was going to be kind of the new Luke Skywalker to bring balance to the Force. The new person.
It may still be the case.
Maybe it's going to be Reiner. Maybe it's Colt. Maybe it's Gabby. Maybe it's Falco.
Yeah. No, I think that may still be possible. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, so I want to get to this part. Okay, so Piek runs away with Gabby. She saves her. She kind of like lets her down. You're right. Somebody puts in the comments too that she should be covered in Titan spit.
She should.
We know that's true because I was just rewatching season 1, and when Armin gets saved, Eren throws Armin out of the Titan's mouth or whatever. When he meets up with Connie, he's like,
covered.
"Why can't you talk? And what is this slime all over you?" He literally asks him.
Maybe it's because Piek has no intent to eat her. She's not salivating like the pure Titans do when they try to eat somebody.
Oh.
She's
usually
restraining herself.
Well, yeah, and usually
She's in
when a
control.
pure Titan is about to eat a human, they show their saliva dripping.
Interesting.
Oh, I just got ahead of myself. Sorry. The next bit here is Eren says to himself, to think that Marely would launch such a desperate attack, considering all the stuff that they don't know. They're taking a huge risk here, which is accurate.
It is
a desperate attack. They even said that it will take us
risk.
6 months to a year or whatever
To be ready.
and they do it in a month. Yeah, like that's super quick. Okay, so that's a good observation. I'm not sure what else to say about that. The next part I want to get to is Elena yelling at Eren. She's like, Eren, you need to run.
Get out of your Titan body.
Get out of your Titan body, go underground using the Warhammer, and then run off. Eren does, as you described it, the
stares at her.
husband/dad who's been asked a stupid question but doesn't want to like explain the answer.
And doesn't want to get in a fight.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to fight about this right now. And
He just looks at her and is like, anyway, walks away like, I'm going to do my own thing. You must not know about me. I'm Eren. I kill everything. You think I'm going to walk away from a fight with Reiner? Now, this is an interesting point, though, because if Eren's only goal is to get with Zeke, do either the rumbling or the forced sterilization of everybody,
right,
then strategically, Yelena's correct. You don't need to fight. Get the F out of there. Get out of the town. Run. Go find Zeke. Just touch him. Do the stuff you need to do. And then who cares what if you do live, if you die, whatever happens, your goal is complete. But to me, this could be a point that Eren's goal is not yet only to do what Zeke wants to do.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah, there's something else going on here. He ignores her pretty easily, whereas it seems like she kind of, like, I was kind of noting these two haven't really parted. They haven't really differed on anything up to that we know of up to now.
Yeah.
There's been no point at which Elena and Eren seem to have like a disagreement. They were like fully in on this exact same plan. They were in lockstep up until just now. And you're right. Strategically, it makes less sense unless Eren has some other goals or some other things in mind, or his own pride. It's possible, I suppose. He could be driven by like, no, I need to prove to everybody I'm the freaking best. Yeah. So Eren walks out into the street of Shiganashina. Remember, this is an empty
jumps
Shiganashina.
off the castle.
A freshly rebuilt Shiganashina, which is kind of a shame.
At least no one's there.
I know. They finished rebuilding it, evacuate it, and then
Yeah.
destroy it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting here is as he goes out to fight, you're about to get to the peak moment where Peak's going to talk?
We're not quite there. So Reiner transforms and they start to fight. I mean, there's not.
I like how Reiner's like coming out of the sky and he sees Eren and shows him his hand. Like Eren showed Mikasa an arm in his hand when he walked in. Like, I'm just letting you know I've sliced my hand open. So any second now.
Yeah, I'm freaking ready for this.
It's going to happen.
The only line from this I want to talk about is where he says, only you. So Eren is saying to himself, like, to Reiner, like, only you could have convinced them to do something this stupid. Marely to do something this stupid.
Okay, how stupid is it? Would you rather give Zeke and Eren 6 months to do whatever the F they want and come really prepared with the full-scale attack?
Which is what Reiner was saying.
Or would you rather go now and try to stop whatever they're trying to do?
I'd rather go now. No, I agree. I think they did a good
risky.
move.
It is risky. But
stupid is the wrong word, though.
What combat is not risky? What war is not risky, right? There's always risk in war. I think it's a measured risk. I think it's the right response. Obviously, you wish you had all the tanks and whatever else they have. You wish you had everything full. But for a half-ass attack, this is pretty dang good to have.
It shapes up
paratroopers, machine guns from the sky. You've got flares, anti-Titan guns, snipers. Like, they do some work for. I mean, I'd hate to see what a full-scale attack would do.
Yeah,
and that's I think why the rumbling had to be on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely interesting here.
Yeah. So the fight commences. Of course, this is like every time we get to these fight scenes, I'm like, oh, there's so much to talk about. But like, it's more like enjoy the spectacle.
Yeah.
Because the animation, I think, is on point.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the way Reiner looks here. Reiner's like back to his full self. Eren looks like a friggin' just absolute badass.
Beast.
Like everybody is like tip top shape here, and they go in for this fight. They like tackle each other, and then that's when we cut away to the PX scene.
Okay. So they don't just tackle each other.
Explain.
I will explain.
You would like to break down the fight scene.
Right before that happened, before kind of this scene here, we had, the rebirth of Zeke, and then Zeke says, "We have to keep moving forward, don't we, Eren?" Then the newest hottest track just dropped in Attack on Titan lore.
Oh my!
This new opening is a banger out of the gate. Like the last like season,
it
caused destruction.
We hated it first, and then it grew on us, and then we're like,
eventually I loved it.
No. Like we liked it at the end. This out of the gate, like we cleared the pit out and started throwing haymakers. Like it was just fire out of the gate.
It's true. We all immediately liked it.
It was just so good.
It was good right away.
We're all metal fans here,
yeah,
so
true.
Eric actually puts this song on first hearing. This is heresy to me, but he puts it on first hearing above the original opening song.
I also do.
I could see contendership at definitely top 3.
The best
but
one.
You put it above
I mean,
the classic?
I might have been caught up in the moment. It's apples and oranges. Realistically,
it is apples
that
and
original
oranges.
one is still one of the absolute best.
That's true.
I've kind of liked them all to an extent, but definitely number one, I think.
It's just
stands
so
alone.
good. The opening?
Yes.
Like it's still in my heart. You know, it's still in my heart. I go out there, I think Attack on Titan, I think that opening.
But this one just feels so right, like for the season, for like for the events that are happening right now.
The mood, the lyrics, he comes out, Eren's screaming, rumbling, like so good. We see some cool, interesting bits in this opening song. We see a Hanji who's looking very depressed, and we see a Levi whose face is turned away. But I would contend that you don't put a dead guy in a trailer.
I hope he's not dead.
You don't put a dead guy in a trailer.
I'm just preparing myself.
The lyrics almost made it. Elson saying the lyrics almost made her cry.
Yeah.
We read the lyrics right after the episode, and I was like, yeah, this one's actually like. There's a little depth in there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't know if it's too spoilery or not or whatever, but I just like, it's actually kind of feels like it's describing this season really well.
Yeah. Swab Javi said those are fighting words. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think Nate the Great's there. He says, this opening needs a little more time to grow on me to officially give it the title of the best opening. Right?
Yeah.
But this is the last opening we're going to get. And they ended it with a perfect song.
Or is it?
To fit. Okay.
If there's a movie, there's at least
Might be one
more.
more.
Yeah, it's
really liked this one though.
Gonna be very good. Yeah. Okay. So they didn't put Sasha in the opening. They didn't put Erwin in the opening.
Right.
Why would they put Levi if he's dead?
Didn't they put Erwin in one of the openings the year
after he died? I don't think so. Maybe. Anyway. So great opening song. Now to get to the fighting.
All right. Well, yeah.
Sherlock
I want to
says
the
Sasha
pick
was
scene
in the
where we get a bunch of information here.
Oh, you want to go to the fight first or the pick first?
Or. Okay, why don't you do the fight and we'll talk about because
break down the fight, Pete.
They do this thing where they intersperse the fight with like informational bits or whatever. Just tell us the fight and then we'll talk about the PX scene or whatever.
Okay, so Reiner comes out hot as a cannon, hotter than a $2 pistol. Right? He comes out guns a-blazing. He's throwing just absolute punches, and Eren is backing up. He's got his
Eren charges him first. He goes after him first.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sorry. The fight starts the exact opposite of the way the fights have started in the past.
Yeah, where
Reiner charges, right? And Eren's had to adjust his strategy based on that. This time, Eren charges. Mm-hmm. This is a whole 180 degree like change based on what where their characters were at in the past, what their beliefs were at the past, where their stances were, and what they wanted, right? I think this is showing us like, hey, maybe you're rooting for a different person now, right? Like, I don't think if I mentioned this before, but Forrest Griffin and Tito Ortiz fought 3 times, and I rooted for a different person every single time because of the way they presented themselves, because of what they were fighting for, because at the end, like kind of whose side, like I was like, yeah, and first Forrest Griffin, he's the man, screw Tito Ortiz, he's cocky or whatever, right? And then finally by the end, I was rooting for Tito. Actually, I know it's a shame to admit it, but I was rooting for Tito at the end because Forrest Griffin like was kind of cowardly, like fought a weak fight, didn't want to go engage. It was just way different of a feeling. I feel like they've done a really good job kind of giving us multiple perspectives. Isayama does a great job of showing you the justification for each character and why they believe what they believe. And so I don't blame anybody for believing what they believe. It's all believable. Yeah. But it does make you really question. So Reiner tackles Eren.
Yeah. First time I'm rooting for Reiner is right here.
Boom. And if you have made a habit of tackling people, you're a wrestler, you take people down, the worst thing you could do is get put on your back. And it's the first thing Eren does. I'm like, smart, Eren. If I was Reiner, I'd be training my sprawl training. I'd be training a little guillotine or something like that. But no, he gets taken down. The fight kind of continues. The next scene we see is Reiner's up. He's throwing punches. Eren's got his armor on, his hands. He's blocking. He's bobbing and weaving. He's taking them. Nothing's really landing, but Reiner's definitely making him back up. He's not letting him get anything off, which ultimately, the more time Reiner can buy, the better.
Yeah.
Because machine guns are going to work better than
fists
and Titan gear. I think the Titan gun peak's getting set up. Galliard, the more he can get in position, the more time he can buy, the better. So he's really putting it on. As this is happening, Eren's waiting for his moment. You could tell this isn't his first fight. Like, he's good at hand-to-hand training.
Well, he's fought Reiner multiple times before too. He thinks he knows like what's up this time.
He's got his number, and so Reiner goes to throw something. Eren ducks down and blam! He just blasts him so hard. Immediately, the face armor of Reiner breaks off, and I'm like, oh, this isn't. You're in bad shape real quick.
He's got a freaking Warhammer crystal on his hands now.
Sometimes you're watching a fight and you're like, oh, you're doing good. One shot changes the momentum of the fight and be like, oh shoot, you're in trouble. You need help or whatever. We were kind of hoping based off the prediction that Reiner was actually going to come in this fight and like really do good against Eren because he's got new motivation. You know, he wants to protect the kids, and he's not doing so hot. Eren immediately hits him, jacks him up. He goes to follow up, and luckily Reiner ducks under this punch. He takes Eren down. You're like, okay, all right, here come time for Reiner to shine. He jumps up to drop like just a straight hammer fist all the way to the ground. Eren up kicks him, hits him right in the face, stumbles him back.
Yeah, knocks him. Well, he knocks him completely back. He knocks him
completely on his back. Right? It's a stiff up kick. Gives Eren enough time to get up, and as he's up, Reiner's still dazed on the ground.
Yeah,
you're like, this is not going good.
No.
So then Eren walks over to Reiner. He's about to do something, but he senses somehow. Is it the spider senses, the Titan senses?
I don't know. He does something. His back hardens.
It is interesting. They haven't really shown him. They haven't shown anybody with this like predictive power just yet, except for right here.
Yeah.
Remember, Annie?
No, Annie did.
Annie kind of like was
so
like.
Did Zeke. They hardened the back of their neck. They knew someone was coming behind. Because they knew somebody was coming.
I'm saying Eren's fully focused on the fight in front of him and still is able to pull it
still
off.
Hardened it, and then knew that the Galliard was behind him. Threw the spikes out, but Galliard dashes around the spikes. He's like, nope. I'm not going to get caught up so easily.
It's a pretty cool power, the Jaw Titan.
I'm wondering if he can hear. Jaw Titan isn't exactly quiet with his claws, like breaking tiles as he's jumping off of roofs. Like maybe he heard him somehow.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, he throws these spikes out, but to Galliard's defense, he actually dodges around them. He doesn't get completely killed by these spikes.
Yeah.
However, there's a difference. Eren's not fighting emotionally. Eren's fighting with like total confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
Galliard's like, I'm going to get you back for killing my hometown and killing all my friends or whatever. And usually it's not best to go into a fight high on emotion. You want to see things very objective. You want to let your senses be totally heightened, bob and weave, see the things come and get into the mind of the opponent, not being like, I'm going to hit you with everything I have. Oh, crap.
Or roaring like, blah!
Yeah, so he hits him with the spikes. Galliard comes, he kicks Eren in the back. Eren gets launched forward. It's enough time for Reiner to get up to his feet and grab Eren by the face. And Reiner's got this like slow plodding, like, Eren, it's enough. Give up. You suffered enough, right?
Yeah. You can't win this on your own. If it's just you, you're not very effective.
I just don't think he's right. I don't think he's right. He goes, yeah, if it's just Eren, you're not really effective. Eren starts to jack both of them up at the same time. He's got 3 Titan powers inside of him.
Yeah.
And he beats you the last 2 times you guys have fought Reiner, like, or close to. So he's obviously pretty dang effective.
Yeah.
Luckily, as this is about to happen, Eren shoots out 2 spikes. He impales both the Jaw Titan and Reiner with these 2 spikes. Mm-hmm. As it's happening, you're like, oh man, he's got him. He's got their number. He's going to wreck both of them. Some like, I'm not going to call them scouts because I want to differentiate our core crew of scouts.
Yeah.
Connie,
the Jaegerists then?
Paradisians, I don't know.
Paradisian Security Patrol. They fly out with their ODM gear. Yeah. They're like, we're going to help them. We're going to give them a taste of these thunder spears and they're going to whatever. As that's happening, we hear an explosion and we see Eren's brains hit the floor.
Just blood pouring out of his skull.
The gore in this episode is
pretty insane. It's his body just kind of like
pan back over, and the funny part is it's General Magath. Thank you very much. And he goes, "Man, how hard it is for Marely to fall in these times when their best gunner has also become the general, right? Yeah. He's the best gunner that Marely has on short notice, and so he's a general. He's calling the shots, and he's actually aiming the gun. The first shot is confirmed to be right to the brain." So they weren't aiming for the neck. They didn't want to just kill Eren. They wanted to immobilize him. Mm-hmm. The first shot goes to the brain. It immobilizes the function on the body of a Titan. This is also true about humans. Now, not obviously not this extreme. You shoot a human's brain out, he's dead. But if you can cause severe head trauma to somebody, specifically in the very top of someone's dome, it's called your central sulcus, that's where your motor functions come from. Mm-hmm. So you hit somebody top of the head, catch a punch, an elbow, or whatever it is, it slows down their central motor functions. And that begins to allow you openings to move the fight. When this happens, the brain gets blown out, Eren slumps down, he slows down, and it gives an opportunity for Galliard and for Reiner to get loose of the spikes and to get out.
I would think that the goal of immobilizing Eren is so that one of the other Titan shifters can eat him out of his Titan.
Certainly.
Which is why they didn't go for the nape and just blow the crap out of Eren.
I was gonna say. So wait, that's pretty much that's essentially the end of that fight part of it, right?
That little bit. So let's go to Peak's part, and then if we need to catch up.
So we're we're doing it a little out of order from the episode, but chronologically, this makes more sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, fight scene's freaking off the charts. I've been waiting for another like action kind of moment. I'm like, I'm really glad it finally happened. So all right, this scene with where Pick delivers Gabby to Megath, they like reunite, and he's like, you know, he
acts like he has a soul.
He's like, why did you go behind enemy lines? And she's like, I'm sorry, or whatever. And they kind of
he like puts his forehead to her, and he holds her close.
And Colt shows up, and Colt,
where's my brother?
Where's Falco? Where's Falco? Where's
Falco?
And Gabby has to deliver some bad news. Okay, so she has to tell him he's in that building over there, the big fortress. It's like behind everybody. It's at the top of the hill, which looks really familiar from season 1. It looks like the one where they had to do the guns in the circle and the shoot the eyes and the whatever. Where do you store your armaments? You store your like weapons and your ammunition
in the armory.
In the armory.
That's it. Mm-hmm. That's the one. It looks like the armory that they had to do that whole thing in.
Yeah.
Rebuilt. I don't know. Maybe not. But at any rate, she's like he's over there, and he's not doing so great because he has some spinal fluid that he accidentally drank or got in his mouth or whatever. And Megath and Colt look
very disturbed.
They're not like tactical about it. They're like really surprised, really disturbed by that. And that's what made me go, oh, he's getting a Titan power. I've been saying this for a long time.
Colt?
No, Falco.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Falco's got this serum, and he's seconds away. Like the next time there's a shout, like it just seems inevitable to me at this point. It's gonna happen, and they're actually really concerned about him specifically.
Yeah, initially I was thinking he only got one little drop, and that's why he didn't go full Titan when Zeke did his thing.
None of them did because they were too far away.
But he was too far away.
Yeah,
so is there still a risk?
They all felt something though.
He felt like electrocution. So is he just as susceptible, even though he didn't drink that much? Is a drop all it takes?
It seems so. Even Pixis was saying I couldn't move for a second. So like everybody all 300 people that drank it,
they're all like vulnerable to it.
Vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So if Eren is in fact doing well, we're not sure what Eren's doing, but
he's screaming.
He's screaming. We don't think he has the Titan shot ability.
I don't think so.
But if Zeke shows up and does it, then maybe our boy could turn into a Titan, which would suck, except for unless he eats somebody, gets their power, and comes back as the hero.
Comes back around, yeah. I think it's at least possible. Okay, so this is where Pig starts to fill us in, and she says that, okay, Falco's detained along with 300 others. Mm-hmm. So that puts a number on roughly the number of, at least in this location, the number of holdouts of Scout/Paradise, non-Jaegerist holdouts, I'll put it that way, which we know is, the Jean, Connie, we've got Armin and Mikasa.
Pixis.
Pixis, kind of this whole crew. So there's at least 300 in the area, and then she says that there are about another 500 soldiers in the area, which we think are the ODM gear slinging Thunder Spear folks that are flying around. And Megath says it was Reiner's fears that brought us here in the first place. And they get into this conversation, and it seems to me they have finally started to figure out, now that they're here, the plan starts to become clear to Marely. Because remember, we know a lot of stuff because we've been watching all this stuff happening in Paradise. But back in Marely, they don't have all the information we have.
They've been in almost more of the dark than the Eldians have been the last year or two, maybe.
Yes. And so this is where they're starting to unravel, and they kind of put the pieces together, and they're like, okay, what's the story with like the rumbling or whatever? And Pix says, listen, I can't tell you whether like all the details about it, but I do know that this is probably their trump card. She says that the fact that they haven't used it yet means that the conditions aren't right for Eren to actually do it. So she knows it's like they probably would have. There's a reason they can, but there's got to be some reason that they haven't. And I think they get to it here. He says, "What are the conditions?" God, this show is so well put together. Every thread you can follow back to where it needs to go. Gabby just happens to be on the airship within earshot of the conversation about Zeke and Eren and Hanji's there and everybody's there, and they are talking about how, okay, in order to do this, now we have a Titan with royal blood and the founding Titan, and basically that gives us the option to do the rebelling. She just happens to have the information. She just happens to be in the right place at the right time to tell them, no, I know how this is going to go down.
I overheard something very important.
I know the conditions. They have to touch. Like, they have to be together. And
so Puke says, at all costs, then, if that's the case, we need to keep Zeke and Eren from touching each other. The condition must not exist yet. Did you already mention the fact that she's really smart?
What?
That Puke's a freaking detective?
Oh, yeah. Not on this episode, but yes. I've said it before, and I say it again.
We love Puke, even though we feel like we've been rooting against her.
Really brilliant.
Because she's so smart.
She's super clever.
And she's so smart. She's smart enough to be like, yeah, I'm probably
she's
being
like
used. They're probably going to kill me.
Armin, I feel like.
Right. Yeah. But she's like
so.
Sherlock Puke over here. She's like putting it all together. She's like a strategist.
Well, she's also very like, she's like a spy. She is a spy in this.
Yeah.
She has been. She's really like persuasive and can like kind of talk her angle up. And
I got to say, I undersold and undervalued the cart Titan's power.
Same.
I was like, oh, you can carry stuff? I'm like, no, she could do a lot more, and she's a boss. They picked a very good Titan shifter vessel.
She can also apparently walk under the ocean and just sneak onto islands without anybody noticing her.
I guess. She's the one Titan that can go in water. I mean, it's,
maybe they all can. I don't know. But she can stay transformed for months at a time and not go crazy.
Right.
Nate the Great says, good thing it was Puke and not Galliard that heard the conversation. Galliard would never been able to put 2 and 2 together.
True. 100%. Also, I can't remember who said this earlier in the comments, but they were talking about Puke's voice. And while she's in Titan form, they're like, that's a no for me. And I'm like, yeah, same. She sounds really freaking weird.
Yeah.
I don't like
her
it.
voice sounds like many voices talking at the same time underwater.
She has the voice of many waters.
Yeah.
Her voice is like sound of many waters.
I was just saying she
no,
sounds like Legion.
I wouldn't go that far, but like.
Oh, okay, Legion. Yeah.
She sounds,
By the way, the Beyond the Basement crew is now going to make a wine.
Oh, are we?
Yeah,
It's have that label on there.
It's Monkey Merlot, or it's Zesty Zeke, or it's... Somebody said now that you could actually buy a wine that has the same label and stuff from Japan, and in the warning it says, this will not cause you to turn into a Titan. I want the real stuff, dang it.
We have to buy this for the sake of the show.
Yeah.
All right. So
unless
Good
it's
idea,
$700. Then
So they put it together here, and they finally say, after Gabby's flashback, they say, I don't remember who it was that actually said, I think it's Colt. It's like, so wait, the founding Titan and Titan with royal blood, does that mean Zeke is a royal?
Which is something that we've suspected, right? And then we were confirmed eventually, and they even maybe partially suspected. They're like, oh, Zeke, the Wonder Child, he's the most successful beast Titan to ever be. We don't know what's your secret. He's like, oh, I'll tell you when I'm wiping my butt, or I'm back or whatever, right? So this is the answer to all the questions. Pete goes, that's why he has so many special powers, is because he was a descendant of one of the restorationists.
Yeah, Magath puts that together. He's like, oh, he's a descendant of restoration. She
it's
says,
possible that he's royal,
And that's when she's like, we can't let them come in contact. So Magath says an interesting line here where he says, Marley's shield can be easily broken. And I'm thinking...
Didn't he say it couldn't be easily broken?
No, I thought he said it will easily be broken. But what I'm saying is because before he called the armored Titan Marley's shield in episode 1 of season 4.
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
He like that. This is a point to absorb punishment, and he gets shot. Remember, Reiner gets like hit with the anti-Titan weapons, and he just like cuts through him like butter.
Yeah.
So I'm almost wondering if that's what he's saying here. Like because it sounds like what he's saying is we don't have long.
Mm-hmm.
Like the power we once possessed, we don't have as much as we thought. And
wait, he said Marley's shield can't be easily broken.
Oh,
couldn't be easily broken.
That's what I thought he said.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. At any rate, he does say the next line, which is important, when he says the fate of the entire, it's no longer fighting just for Marley, the fate of the entire world is on our shoulders. Because we have to stop the rumbling. We know they can do it now. They have all the ingredients. They've got what they need. and he says it's time to end this. It's time to. We're not gonna take our. We're gonna kill the founding titan and take our chances. We're gonna eat the founding titan and put an end to 2,000 years of malice.
Yeah, he sees
that's pretty epic.
He sees killing Eren as passing the buck down the line for the next generation to fight another founding titan, because that titan power is going to go to somebody, right?
Yeah.
He sees that as not a victory. He wants a total victory. He wants to. He's trying to inspire his troops. This is where he gives the Helos speech.
Yeah.
He goes, Willie Tiber laid his life down, just like Helos of the past. We need to have somebody who's going to save the whole world. We need to put an end to 2,000 years of malice. Let's go.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Everybody's there's a people's motives and stories and stuff are kind of always evolving in the show. We're always learning a little bit more of information here. Yeah, and it's really difficult to be like, oh yeah, Eren sterilized everybody, or yeah,
but Marely doesn't
good.
even know about that.
They don't even know. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't. And I'm like, I just cannot ever get on the side of Marely and government and Marely officials. These people literally have enslaved internment zones where they like have Eldian child soldiers, like the whole the fact that it's not just like, oh, the government does this, but I'm like, no, the society treats the Eldians like utter garbage, like a bunch of racists. I'm like, I just can't.
A society, yeah.
Get behind that. I'm sorry. I'm not really ever going to be on their side.
To be fair to Marely, Willie Tiber did say in his speech, and even Magath, didn't he say to Magath, like, it's probably time for us to move beyond just using the Titans. Like, we need to have more actual Marleyan soldiers. We need to have people actually having their skin in the game.
But it wasn't about like this forever. We should stop abusing people because it's wrong. It was like, if we're going to maintain world power, we need better weapons than just Titans. Yeah. So anyway, so the fight scene kind of we already sort of broke all that down. The next part I kind of wanted to get to is Elena kind of gives a line during the fight while Eren's just been taken down, but he's just been run through with the spear. The spear. He does the spikes. He gets run through, so he gets shot.
He gets shot second time, and he's like leaning. He's like leaning back against one of the spikes.
And Reiner pulls a Bamf move and pulls the spike out of his own stomach and freaking rams Eren through with it. It was a good job, dude.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Oh, who is it that makes this comment? Sorry, while I'm looking at it. I thought most of the officers were dead, and they've only had a month. How did they regroup so quickly?
Yeah.
I can't remember who says that.
It's one of Onyankopon or it's Elena or one of them.
One of those guys.
Yeah.
So this is.
I think it was Elena.
This is the shot where they're it's all of them standing around. So maybe it is Elena, but the Onyankopon says to himself, here he goes, the founder is going to get eaten, and he runs off. Now, again, trailer sort of gave this one away. We knew he was going to go unlock everybody, but at any rate, he runs off. We're like, okay. Elena says, and to herself, she says, Eren, you're not like other people. You're special.
Same thing his mom told him. Same thing his dad told him.
Yes.
Which makes me wonder if there's more to him being special than just he was their special boy. You know?
I think so.
It seems
his dad knew there was.
It seems like consistently throughout the series, there have been comments made about, especially by Marleyans, how quickly Eren masters new Titans. Like, that's not normal.
Yeah, that's true.
He's only had the Warhammer for a month, right? And he's already making weapons. And when he touched that pure Titan and accessed the Founder's power, he called Titans to himself and
right away
used them as a weapon. And Reiner was like, oh no, you're dangerous. Like,
there's something natural.
There's something about him that is different. Yeah.
Certainly. And I think that the fact that he has Titan memories before he has Titan power is a testimony of that.
And it also seems like he has access to the owl, his memories, and they're not blood relatives. So maybe his brain somehow is accessing memories uniquely as well.
Well, he had memories before. Well, him and Falco are the only two we've seen that seem to have Titan memories before they have Titan powers.
They had
Titan got his Titan powers from his dad, who is a blood.
Yes, true. But still, it's interesting to me that he seems to have access to the paths before we know what that means.
Murky.
It is.
Okay, so there's another line in here, which I think is Magath. So they shoot Eren the second time, so right before he gets run through, and he says, the Warhammer is powerful, but it exhausts quickly. And remember, this was built by Willie Tiber's sacrifice. And this is where he says that line where we kind of get this it's Megadeth's voice, but we're watching the fight, and he says, we need another hero. We need a Helos to come through and be a hero for Marely.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an interesting scene. I feel like there's some poetry happening here, and I don't think we can quite pick up on all of it just yet until like maybe a little later on. But it's interesting he makes this comment about the Warhammer. It seems right, because in Liberio, that was roughly the same. When Laura Typer had it, it's like she had several bursts of like kind of craziness, and then she had to go in the crystal, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
That was like the last gasp or whatever. So yeah, he gets rammed through, and Reiner's saying some lines to him. He's saying, enough already. You've lost. Everyone has suffered enough already. You have suffered enough already, as if he cares.
He's saying it so
suffering.
compassionately as he's shoving a sharp thing directly through his body.
Yeah.
But it's a little twisted.
Meanwhile, acknowledging the conversation they had back in the basement under Liberio, where he was like, my mom got eaten in front of me, fricker. Like, I guess it's said that way, but
we've all
like,
suffered.
We've all suffered. Like, I understand you. We're actually kind of like each other. And there is a weird mutual understanding that we now know is mutual. Ryan actually thinks Reiner thinks similarly about...
I'm the same as you, Aaron.
They're brothers
Reiner,
of a kind.
They are. And they've experienced a lot of the same things. You know, they were both picked on when they were kids.
Yeah.
They both came up for diversity. They both weren't the number one pick when it came to like their classes in Titans and whatever. And scouts, and they both experienced great tragedy. They both had to rise up in their field to take on this mission, and they both were fighting for what they believed was freedom. Both of those guys had a hard realization of what that looked like when they actually got to the other side, right?
Dang.
So yeah, there's definitely a connection there. You suffered enough. Eren, last thing he told him was, you got to keep pushing forward. Just what you told me, Reiner. We got to keep pushing forward. No matter how much it hurts, no matter what you go through. And Reiner's saying, it's time to stop
pushing forward and just rest.
What do you think? What is Reiner's solution here? Rest from what? You going to convince Marely to lay down their guns? You're going to convince Paradise to lay down their gun? Like,
I don't know.
What is he thinking?
What if
he's just a tired old man at the end of his term?
What if Reiner, I don't know. Maybe his dream was he'd take the power from Eren, or he'd get Eren to stop. He'd get Eren to agree to like lay down his arms. But I don't think Reiner wants Eren to go back to Liberio and be a slave there. I don't think he wants to. I don't think he wants that for Gabby or for Falco either.
Yeah.
I think he would be like, listen, Marely,
Gabby wouldn't settle for it.
We're staying here. We're gonna build a country here, and we're gonna keep ourselves separate from the rest of the nations. Maybe that's Reiner's dream scenario. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well,
certainly.
He's almost dead anyway. Remember, it just is a matter of time. Like he's on his last bit.
Yeah, all Reiner wants is Historia, guys. You're right.
Too late, dude. Somebody else already friggin' had a kid with her and everything.
Yeah. Oh.
Maybe it was Reiner.
That'd be dope if we're like the secret connect. Somehow he snuck off the ship, and
I don't know how they would explain that, but
that would be nuts. That would be a little too nuts. All right, so that cuts and gets us to the prison.
Through the paths, Reiner says. Some weird ethereal VR procreation happening.
Oh my gosh.
Hey man, meet me in the paths tonight, okay?
Okay, wait. I think Charlotte might be right. He's saying Reiner still probably knows her as Krista.
Yeah, and you know the story.
He doesn't know her.
He doesn't know she's the queen probably or any of that.
He doesn't know anything.
See, he loved her before she was a queen. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? She was always a queen in his heart. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about giant question marks. We started. I know this is a bunny show, but before the show, I was saying like the two giant things that are looming or character storylines we haven't gotten to are Annie. Nothing from Annie at all. We know it's coming, and Historia's husband.
Or
is he not some kind of honorary king type thing?
We haven't had mention of either one of those.
We don't know him
episodes.
as her husband, really. He's her consort.
Yeah.
Which a consort is an unmarried,
Yes, but question: how do you select? How does one select that? I don't know. It's just
we don't know.
Well, remember she knew her from childhood, and we think there might have been relations there, but we're not sure, and we're highly sus on this whole situation. Okay.
It's a cover story.
Paris says Ymir turned over in his grave as we're talking about Reiner getting
somebody else. Yeah, seriously. Okay, so they get to the prison. Onyankopon's got the key. He's shaking like a leaf. Hey guys, okay. So see, Marely came in and they have about 500 soldiers of their own, and they got the Titans, and he's like all freaked out. And
he's selling it.
Listen, they do a really good job with making him like a nervous wreck right here, and like all the scouts and stuff in there are like, "You good, man? Like, what are you doing right now?" Like, it really doesn't make sense. So anyway, he's telling him, he's like, listen, Marley's going to come. They're going to steal the founder, help us protect Eren. And right as he's saying that, that's when he gets the door open and like the key comes out.
Chad Connie comes out
like a freaking hurricane. Just,
I don't trust you.
Grabs him by the throat, throws him up against. Okay, I'm surprised his shirt didn't burst open from the testosterone pumping through Connie's vein. Chad Connie's here, you guys.
Poor Connie. He's like, I'm so sick of being betrayed by everyone.
Cornelius.
The PBR cans in the back of the prison. He's like, I'm juiced, okay?
That's right.
Connie, relax, bro.
Connie, when you start chewing in the
yeah, just now.
Let me tell you something, brother, okay?
Okay, but in this scene, Connie becomes the id of at least us, definitely me. Connie fully embodies and says all the things I've been saying for a while now, and I love him for it.
Yeah.
Because
we are all Connie.
Yeah, we're all Connie for a minute because he freaking slams.
Prison changed him.
You know, that long prison sentence.
Connie, where'd you get this tattoo from? You don't know what it's like in there.
Got a tear.
You know, it's like in the clink, yeah.
Doesn't that mean you've killed a man? Someone's dead in the corner.
Like, what? Why is Jean dead?
He was in there with Papa Browse, okay? He was getting rehabilitated, all right? You can't go wrong with
Fighting
Papa
Jesus there. Yeah. Prison change. Okay. It'll do that to a man. It'll make you hard.
Connie would.
So, okay.
Oh
he said, I think, God, Chad Connie's the new hero. He's the Helos. We found him. He's right. Our Helos.
He's our Helos. Okay. The funny part.
I'm trying not to cry, but
the funny
it's so
part
hard.
is, you're right. Connie's all of us. Like, and I think, like, okay, Connie on average, Connie has tried to be like the dumb voice of where the whole heart of the show is at. Yeah. You know, something happens that we've seen coming and we're like, yeah, we kind of see this coming. And Connie's like, oh, this thing happened. And you're like, yeah, this is actually where people would be at. This is where they would be feeling, you know, betrayal happens. Reiner, like he feels so emotionally hurt. And he is like the emotional thermostat of the episode, right? Of the season. He as he goes, like as he rises and he falls.
Yeah, it's true. He's the heart of the show.
He's definitely one of those. Sasha was right there too. You know, they kind of gave you, this is what the average person is feeling in this moment, and us as like viewers from the outside, you know, we're speculating everything. We have more ability to kind of look objectively at everything or whatever. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can kind of forget, like, yeah, that's what it really feel like.
Yeah.
But here, right here, this point is 100% where we have been at as the BTB crew. We're like, no. Connie says lots of things that are straight fire here. He goes, what do you mean we need to go out there and do something? What do you mean? What is this we? Like when you get voluntold for something or your wife's like, yeah, we need to clean out the garage. You're like, when you say we, are you saying I need to do that? You know, where's the we? You got somebody else with you there?
What's the us that you're talking about?
Yeah. He goes, what do you mean we? Like, you think we're on the same side? You just put us in prison. You just locked us up. You just basically told us that, you know, sorry for, you guys chose the wrong side. We've got our own plan here. And all of a sudden, now you're coming to us for help? Mm-hmm. And guys, I'm tired of being betrayed. Annie, Reiner, Bertolt, Eren. I don't know what to stand up for and fight for anymore. Like, he's hurt. He's broken. There's too many questions. The plot is very complex and amazing. And he's breaking down because he doesn't know what the right thing to do in this moment. Mm-hmm. And I just go,
there's just been so many twists and turns.
And then Isayama, you nailed this moment.
Okay.
Like, this is how we feel.
Oh, absolutely. But his crowning line of the whole thing, as he's joking on Onyankopon, he says, why would we help Eren if none of us can have kids? None of us can even have kids.
Yeah.
Okay, this gets to
Connie
something.
wants to be a dad.
Yes, and this gets to something I have been burning. Okay, having read various comment sections and kind of gotten back and forth with people. Okay, I'm just gonna be straight with you. If you're in this weird camp of people, which just seems like is a number that is so large it makes me uncomfortable, where you're like, oh no, the sterilization plan, that's a good thing. what the F are you talking about? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I said this before. I said this during the trailer thing too. I'm like, that is literally Nazi bullcrap. Like, that is the kind of stuff that the worst, most twisted, most sick individuals have ever come up with. The logic of the forced sterilization is the logic of suicide. What's the point? It would be better to have not live at all than to suffer. As if, right? And you only come to that point if you think that there is no meaning in suffering, if you think that there's nothing beautiful can come of suffering, which isn't true. We all know that isn't true because we've watched it. Go freaking find any documentary on people who've lived really hard lives and gone on to like accomplish beautiful things or like forgiven somebody. Like, it's one of the most beautiful things there is, period. Is that life, it's Mikasa's line, which kind of describes the show, as we said before, the world is cruel and also very beautiful. And that's kind of the whole thing. Like, I was just watching season 1. I watched that episode again. Eren puts the scarf on her, and like, here it is. She's just lost her parents. She was about to be sold into some kind of like sex trafficking ring. There's whatever. She just had to freaking kill a man. And out of that moment, you get one of those, out of that suffering, horrible suffering, you get one of the most beautiful things, which is her adoption. You can be a part of our family now. Like, come. And Eren saying, like, puts the scarf on her. And he's like, this is warm. And
you can be part of my home.
And
now.
She says, I have a family to come home to now. And Eren, you are my family.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I feel like as a society we miss, is when we see terrible tragedy happen, when we see like the wickedness of man, like fully unleashed, we see, men dehumanizing and treating other people, mankind. I'm not saying men, just men. No. All mankind dehumanizing and treating others with contempt. It's the worst thing possible. You hear of rape, murder, kidnapping, racism, violence, like these terrible things happen. And we go like, oh, like our hearts break for that because we know it's not right. Somewhere inside of us, we all know like that's the wrong thing to do. And when we see those situations, sometimes we can despair. We can be like, oh man, is there any hope? The world's just going to hell in a handbasket. Everything's wicked is happening all the time. Wickedness is not being restrained. Is there any hope for my kids, for the future, for generations? And yet, something I always found like very, very important, very beautiful is Mr. Rogers said, whenever you see a tragedy, look for the helpers. Look for the people that aren't just running away, that are running towards to help. Look for the firemen, look for the police, look for the ambulance, look for volunteers. 9/11 happened, and it was a terrible tragedy, and many people died, many people that I know of, personally, like, experienced loss. Heroes were born that day. Yeah. And the country came together and people were offering donations and there's memorials, all these things. There can be incredible wickedness on the earth, and yet there can something beautiful come from those things. Adoption can come from those things. Families that are pieced together can come from those things. Charities can come from those things. Like we actually went to high school with 2 girls who were killed. Yeah. When we were young.
Murdered. They were murdered and buried into our house type of thing. It's weird.
It was a terrible tragedy. It shook the whole school up. Everybody in the community was real shook up. And everyone's asking why, how. We don't know the why. But all I know is out of that thing, charities and donations were taken, and a foundation got formed to help stop the child trafficking and murder of other kids. Yeah. And so even though this terrible thing happened, we would never wish it in the world. I don't just want to take that one on the chin and say, this is how the world is. I want to take the wicked things and I want to do something good about them. I want to build something out of the terrible moments and make life worth living for the next generation. Yeah. You see the things that happened to Mikasa, and yet Eren and his dad come and say, you're going to be with us now. And then something beautiful can come out of that.
Yeah. There's meaning to suffering. Like it's, And like I said, like this idea, like, oh well, we'll just put an end to we'll just force everybody to not have kids against their own will, and then that'll end the reign of Titans, and then that'll bring peace to the worrord. You're wrong.
Look around. The world's a terrible place.
Without any Titans in the rest of the world, it wouldn't matter.
Right.
Here's the thing: is Marley's planning to do away with Titans as a war technology because they think that's not that good anymore, and still planning to go to war.
They still want to take over the world.
You are not going to
make world peace.
You're not going to make world peace by ending an entire race of people. And here's the other thing: I was saying this before, but this forced sterilization thing of an entire race is the ideology of suicide. And we should just say it's not a good one. It's actually a horrible one. And it's worse than that because it's not your own suicide. It's you're forcing it on other people. You're doing the exact mistake that humans kind of make, and we turn around and kind of go, yeah, actually, that's one of the worst things we do, is you take something you think is wrong with you. You look at yourself and you think, I'm wicked. And also, everybody who has my genetics is also wicked. Therefore, we deserve whatever kind of hell or bad stuff. And not only do we deserve it, I'm actually going to go out and inflict it and enforce it upon other people who look and act like me. Okay, there's this thing. This is a real thing. Okay, again, I was going back to Nazi Germany because this show has so many like parallels, but like there's a real thing where you had Jews helping the Nazis who hated them because of their race and were trying to like exterminate them and experiment on them and do all this weird crap to them. And there were Jews who signed up to help because they actually agreed. They're like, yeah, like us Jews we're like termites on the world. Let me help you end this whole thing. And they would like turn on their neighbors and join the SS and do all the. It's just weird.
What the heck?
It's the ideology of suicide. They're just taking that role does not excuse them. They're just as complicit as Nazi SS generals or whatever. Any of those guys who did all these bad things to all these people. But you see what I'm saying is this a really sick and twisted ideology. And just to be a little more frank, I don't really like to get into this on the show, but like that is kind of like there's something similar going on in America, at least with the conversation about race and like white people are wicked and all kind of horrible stuff. I'm like, no, stop. We're going down a horrible path. Like we do not want to go down this path where you think, well, because I've done bad things, or people who look like me have done bad things, therefore all people who look like me are bad, therefore they should be done away with or impoverished or something bad should happen to them. Like it's an immoral, twisted way of thinking. And so that's why, like, especially when at first they first revealed that plot line, I'm like, this is horrible. And the thing is nobody in the show has come out with anything to say against that as to why specifically that's right. Now, granted, most of the characters didn't know. They literally just found out. This is episode 17. Episode 16, they just found out it was even happening, so I'll give them that. But Connie coming out here and saying, why do anything for Eren if we can't even have kids? Having kids and, quote, moving forward, all we can do is moving forward. Having a family and going through the hardship of having a family and the joys and the suffering and the awesomeness, like all the things, like, that's what moving forward for humanity is, period. Mm-hmm. And that's what young Eren, season 1 Eren, that's what he was desperate to do. He was desperate to not just survive in the walls and get eaten by titans, but to thrive and for future generations to live beyond the walls.
You want freedom for everybody. And how you can have freedom if you have no hope for the future?
Where is that guy?
So
come back to me, bro. Like, come back to me.
So anyway. The heat comes, right? Yeah. Chad Connie's up here. He's strangling Onyankopon. He's having like an emotional breakdown. You know, he's been in the joint for too long, right? And Armin goes, hang on a sec. Like, let's hear him out. Armin, the voice of reason. Cooler heads are prevailing. It's beautiful. Armin says, let's hear him out. Onyankopon, like, what do you have to say for yourself? Right?
Tense moment.
Yeah. Do you have the lines? I can pull it up if you want to. But do you have the lines?
Oh, yeah. He says, let's hear out Connie. And, or Connie says, sorry.
Armin says, let's
hear him out.
Yeah.
Onyankopon speaks up and he says, I had no idea. I just didn't know this was the plan. The wine, the euthanization, I didn't know anything about it. And Niccolo actually speaks up and defends him here. He says, actually, no, he's telling the truth. He says, Elena told us to keep quiet and not to tell the volunteers. I got a little confused here. I had to like suss this out just so for clarity's sake. Niccolo was part of the group that was captured. They came to the island on the boats and were captured. They were volunteers. They were like, no, they were prisoners. They were forced to do stuff. So Niccolo was being forced to prepare the wine and also being forced to not tell the volunteers about this like secret plan. And the volunteers were those who showed up on the boats as well, like Elena, like Onyankopon, but who were going there with the plan to join Paradise.
We're going to rebuild Paradise. We're going to make it we're going to take down Marely. We're going to end the suffering of all the nations is what the promise was. Mm-hmm. But for the soldiers who were captured, apparally Elena was like, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn them all into titans.
Yeah, and you're going to help me. I'm going to force this down your throat. So he goes on to say, I don't want the Eldians to be euthanized or sterilized. I want to beat Marely with you guys side by side. I want to help rebuild or build Paradise, and he goes on. He keeps going. He says, "That's why I threw everything away. Like he gave up his whole life to come here and do this. I did it because I believed this island had a future. Kids are the future. Children are the future." Okay, finally, like some clarity. Again, right. I'm like very satisfied. I was hoping we weren't going to get into some weird esoteric. There's no such thing as right or wrong kind of, I just was a little nervous about that. But like here we have some people saying what we're all thinking, which is like this is a bad plan. This is a bad plan. Also, I think we talked about this before too. I'm like, why don't you just make it to where they can't turn into Titans? There's other options here.
I said that.
But just deleting an entire people against their own will, against their own decisions,
their bodies,
taking an entire group of people and assigning judgment to each of them, even though as individuals they haven't done anything wrong. Like,
you have the capacity. All of us have the capacity to do good or do wickedness.
It's not even their choice. Somebody else makes them a Titan, and then the Titan is just happens to be dangerous. Like, okay.
Yeah, Nate the Great makes a good point. He says it's the exact opposite of Erwin's ideology. We entrust our legacy to those who come after us. Mm-hmm. I can't remember exactly when he says this. Is it when he's talking with Levi, or is it before that?
They have a lot of epic lines in that right before he goes out and dies.
It's during the episode of Erwin's final charge.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure it's his.
Okay, very interesting. Yeah, especially if you're saying that Erwin's ideology would be counter to this current plan, then I'm on the side of Erwin.
Yeah.
Till death.
Yeah, seriously.
And even after.
So Onyankopon makes his plea here. He's like, I'm on your side. And he says, I did this because kids of the future. And if this plan is actually carried out, what's the point of all this effort? Right? And he
says he gave up everything for this plan. He burned all his bridges. Like, this is his only plan.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't work, what was the point of all that sacrifice?
So Armin says, I believe you. And Armin quotes Onyankopon to the group and to the rest of them. And I actually remember this line because I thought it was really interesting at the time. Or like such a weird, it's just such a new thing to say as far as the show is concerned, where he says, you once said we exist because we are wanted, which I love that line, including us, the subjects of Ymir. And that it's more interesting with a mix of people. I can see how your views are opposed to Zeke's. I know who you are. I know you're just that kind of person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, that was such an interesting conversation. He actually explains like, oh yeah, like God made the world. He has this, to them, a brand new perspective. Like, oh, God made the world and made all these people, and you exist because you're wanted. And there's different kinds of people for all these different reasons. Like, we're all here for a reason, basically.
Our creator likes a mix of different race of people. That's why we're different races.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well said, I guess.
100%, bro. Okay. Let's go.
Okay, I was mad. If you watch the reaction, you'll see I'm like all mixed on Onyankopon. I'm like, hey, I'm like, well, okay, wait, do I? No, I do. No, I don't. I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, so Jean jumps on board. Is like, I believe you as well. And then he's the one who asks the really important question. Mm-hmm. But if we help Eren and Zeke with the plan,
aren't we just gonna help them do the euthanization, the forced sterilization plan?
Yeah.
If I go in and save Eren, he's still going to betray me and do the thing that I don't want. They'll probably put me back in jail after I help him. Mm-hmm. If I go and I help Marely, then they're going to try to take Eren and enslave the whole world, and they think we're devils anyways. Like, who do we help?
Yeah.
And even Connie, like, even after he lets Onyankopon down, Onyankopon gives like this good speech or whatever, and Armin's like, no, he's okay. Connie's still like hyped up.
He's still pissed.
Connie. He's like, okay, but what do we do? I don't know what to do. Dang it. Like,
I don't know who to follow anymore.
I think Nate said that Connie's been a follower, like not in a bad way. He's been a follower this whole time. Like, first we're following Erwin, and then we're following Levi. Mm-hmm. He followed Reiner, and that was a mistake. And he followed Eren, and that seemed to be a mistake. Mm-hmm. And he's very...
he's getting jaded.
He's getting jaded, and he wants to follow somebody who's going to do what's right. Yeah. He wants to just put his stock behind somebody and go, let's go to the moon, right? But he's like, he's been jaded. He's been hurt. He's not sure. He's been burned before. And so he's like all hyped up. He's like, what do we do? And so Armin's like, well, Onyankopon speaks up and he says, no, I think we can stop. I think we can stop their forced sterilization plan. Let's let them do the rumbling to give Marely about, 50-ish years or whatever.
Well, yeah.
Armin says it, but.
So he says, okay, we can stop the plan, which doesn't say exactly how. But he says, but if we lose those two, we can't win. We need to have the rumbling so that we can show the world, or so that basically so we can buy ourselves time. So. Mm-hmm. He doesn't say he's the plan outright, but it seems to me that what he's saying is, all right, we got to still have the founder. We can't just kill Eren or something like that. Well, I don't know, maybe you could, but the idea is that we still need them to exist. Basically, I think what he's saying is if we can do the original plan, which is apprehend them,
we can
keep them in separate places, we at least have the threat of the rumbling, which can secure the island and to give us enough time for either diplomacy or war, whichever it comes to, in order to make sure that we can still exist. So he doesn't outright say that, but I don't know. Anyway, but basically, so what am I trying to say? Armin jumps on board with this, and he's like, yeah. Obviously, he's into it. And then they turn to Mikasa, And like, all right, Mikasa, what do you say? You want to help Eren? Oh man, this part just. I want to, she says, but it's just because of that. It's because I'm an Ackerman. It's not my own will. And she looks down at the scarf, which she has taken off of her neck for the first time, probably ever. She takes that scarf off, and she looks down at it, and Armin says what I've been saying for this whole time, which is Eren lied.
All of us said that. We're like, it's bullcrap, Mikasa. Don't you let him treat you other than the queen you are.
So I've gone back and watched some season 1, and I was specifically the episode The World the Girls Saw, which is where her like powers get awakened, and she like, goes and defends Eren after he defended her. I go back and watch that. I'm like, there is nothing. The first like 5, 6, 7 episodes, there is nothing remotely close to what Eren. The stuff that Eren says at the table scene in the last episode 16, and reality are just two totally different things. They're two totally different things. As far as what Eren values, as far as the way he thinks of Armin, the way he thinks of Mikasa, the whole like, oh, you're just an Ackerman, so you're actually a slave, like sworn to, like, well, I gave you an order, at the house, and so that made you do these things. None of that is freaking true if you go back and watch it. None of what he said is true. So
he asks her to fight. He asks her like, fight with me, and there's a hope to. He's convincing her. He's not speaking to some deep thing without her. It appears
he didn't even know her. They hadn't even actually fully met yet.
Yeah.
And he runs. He disobeys his dad's direct order. Runs to the house, devises a plan with a knife, kills 2 dudes on his own to save her life. And as he's getting choked out by the third guy, that's when he's like, Tatakai, he's like, if you fight, we could win. If you don't fight, we'll die. But if you fight, we can win. Like, we could do this together. And he just defended her to the death. And then this power like awakens in her to go and do right. And she friggin' like
But also, you mentioned that because we were like, oh yeah, Mikasa always protects Eren.
Yeah.
But you mentioned a couple times where she beats the tar out of him.
Multiple times.
She actually defends Armin by slamming Eren into the table.
Yeah, Eren's like yelling at Armin at one point, and she freaking like throws him, like chucks him down, and I'm like, yeah, this is not a real thing. Plus that would make Levi, but would put Levi in the same camp, and Levi does.
Levi like shoves his boot directly in Eren's face, even after he's a Titan.
Yes,
Levi's kink
and has the founding Titan.
Levi's kink is hurting Titan shifters. Like that is his.
It's just thing.
Anyway, yeah. So Mikasa's broken, and Armin is finally like, he's got a spine. He took the beatings. He stood up for her. He's gonna do it again. He's like, no, you're like my sister, Mikasa. Like, no. We think Eren could be lying. She says, well, I don't know. I do get headaches. I'm like, okay.
So what? Everybody gets headaches, weirdo.
But you could say, I mean, this is a good tactic that Eren used. You could say that about lots of things. You could be like, hey, I know this one thing about you, so I'm going to tie this one thing about you that you get headaches to this way other thing and be like, this is how I know, because you get headaches. What?
Yeah. So like, she did. They actually do show her getting the headache in season 1 or whatever too, but it's not related to it. Number one, it doesn't happen when she has to go and like defend Eren. So that's like the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, she goes, yeah, I don't know. And Armin goes, listen, like, we're not sure if what he was saying was a lie or not. However, you guys think Eren would really want to end children forever? And he's like, that's crazy, right? He looks around and they're all like,
well,
nah, I don't know about that. And John is the one who
says it is outrageous, or he says I don't think it's like him. I agree, I don't think it's like him, but it's not that outrageous.
Yeah.
And
then Armin freaks out. It is outrageous.
Go wait, and the difference is obviously they're all close, but John and Connie don't have the relationship that Armin and Mikasa had with Eren.
Yeah.
So they're looking a little more like, he's kind of changed a little bit, and Eren's like, it's not just a little bit. It's an entire reversal of who we knew Eren to be in the first season, right? Of who we knew Eren to be when we were growing up, fighting for freedom, sticking up for the underdog, giving your life. Fight to get to this side of the wall, to get peace, to get hope, right? To get these things. And now he's like, yeah, I kind of just want to end it all,
Yeah. It was why we've been saying this whole time, like something or someone has gotten into him. Things are not what they seem. That much we can say for sure. So I think it's Jean who asked the question, Connie actually, I think is one who says, why doesn't he oppose Zeke and Elena? Okay, it's a valid question. Armin's response is he doesn't have to. After all, the founding Titan is his to use, which is to say that so long as he goes through the plan, so long as he touches, with Zeke Zeke doesn't really have a say in what happens.
He can do whatever he wants.
He doesn't have the founding titan. Eren does. Eren can do whatever he wants. And he's also saying he has no other choice. If he refused, what would Elena have done? Basically, if he can convince them he's an ally, this is where he jumps on board with the rumbling plan. It's like, we can protect this island with the rumbling for at least 50 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting coming from somebody who just halfway through the last bit of the last half of about halfway through season 4, part 1. So many things to get through. He was not for the rumbling. None of them were. They were all kind of like, well, I'm not so sure about this. Like, we need to weigh this thing and figure this whole thing out. So apparently he's on board with the rumbling now. I guess I can understand it. That does make the most sense for the moment. However, this is a giant however. You did not need Zeke for any of this. You have freaking Historia.
He can just touch her, and I think Eren knows that too, because when he touched her hand,
he does know that.
Felt something happen, and he didn't want to tell anyone.
He does know that, and I just I wonder how much about Historia and Eren, in the interim, if something happened, how much about that do we not know? Zeke is not required for the rumbling. He's not even required for the euthanization plan. He's not required for any of that stuff. You don't need him for any of that. All you need is a titan with royal blood. Once you have the information, which he has,
what's the play? Is
just
it to
go
get
and
the
do
Beast Titan on the island for some reason? What is the long game?
I think it is a part of keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. Historia has to be a titan.
No, they never say that. No, I don't think so.
He did touch.
He touches Historia and has memories when she's just a normal human.
He does, and
he touches at a pure titan, which is
but it's a titan,
a royal, but it is a titan. But I'm saying he touches. So what I'm saying is, the requirement isn't there because he gets his powers when he touches powers/memories when he touches his dad's former wife, now Tomb Titan. I can't remember her name. He touches the Clown Titan. Okay, because she's got royal blood, and he's able to do it then. He has memories. The whole thing happens. Like the power is awakened. The whatever when he touches Historia as a human, as a person. So maybe you can make the claim. Okay, well, he can't do the full rumbling. Maybe not. But my point is that you could still just turn Historia into a Titan if it really comes down to that.
Yeah.
If he doesn't really care about the fate of humanity or whatever anyway. And not only that, she's had a kid. Take her kid and do it.
He's wanted to protect her, though. He didn't want her to be used. Well, previously, he didn't want her to be used like that.
All I'm saying is,
I think his ploy is to use the Beast Titan to get what he wants.
Yeah, I guess so. I still don't think I have it all figured out. I'm just saying it doesn't really make sense to me to be like, no, you have to have a Titan. They have to be a Titan shifter. That's not been established, at least. Not in the show.
In the trailer, it's deceiving because both Zeke and Eren touch foreheads and they're not in Titan form, but this could be one of those anime things where it just shows that happening, even though in reality they're both in their Titan form or whatever. It could be, there's been times in the past.
Well, Eren wasn't a Titan when he used the power in the first place.
Right, but he
just
touched
one.
a Titan. I think you have to touch a Titan of royal blood. I think that's.
But when he touched Historia, the spark flew the exact same.
He gets
stuff
memories.
Happened. Yeah, but there's no Titans around to control at the time.
Right, so he just gets memories. Doesn't mean he could use the Titan power.
It also doesn't mean that he can't.
Doesn't mean he can't use the Titan power.
We haven't experimented.
If that's the case, and
they've never taken him out to a field with a bunch of friggin' pure Titans and Historia and go touch her and see what happens.
Assuredly. However, if Eren is the father, which we don't know for sure, he definitely touched her quite a bit.
Dang.
Does that mean Eren's already activated the Founding Titan's power? Does that mean he's got some other stuff going on?
Yeah. Okay. What are the comments? I can't say your name. Mercer? Eren says, I am who I've always been. This is an important line. I know it's an important line. And I almost wonder if now that you're saying that, if that's his, even though he's treating them like dirt and saying, Mikasa, I've always hated you, if that's his little hint in there, that he has to drop a hint, like, hey, I actually am still the me that I've always been, which is...
Yes.
So maybe, but still, you don't have to treat your friends like dirt.
So I brought this up. The table scene. It's the most intense scene, I think all of last season, even though there's some pretty crazy stuff that happened. But one of the most intense things is Eren walks in, right? And he walks in like a pro wrestling heel. Dark demeanor, dark clothes, treats the people that we love like trash, isn't energetic, isn't charismatic, isn't passionate. He's not Zeke trying to win you over to his cause. He goes, yeah, I'm doing what I want. Screw you guys, right? He comes in the anti-Eren. It looks like nothing of what we've seen in the past before. And so we go, how can you not be influenced, right? How can you not be Eren? Then I think he either gives us some strategic clues or he's lying to them for some reason. Why would you lie to Mikasa about the fact that she's an Ackerman and she's controlled by him? This is what we were talking about earlier. Why would you lie to Mikasa? What does that lie accomplish?
Yeah.
If you're really Eren and you really want your friends to be on board, all he'd have to do is go, hey guys, I've got a plan. Trust me. All right, guys, round them up, right? And I made the point he didn't say that because there was people around, but you thought there was nobody else in the room but those three.
It was 4 because Gabby's Gabby, Armin, Mikasa, and Eren. We just watched it recently, Becca and I. There was nobody else in the room. Flock and them only run into the room after he starts beating them up.
So why couldn't he be like, hey guys, don't worry. Unless
valid question.
Unless there's something else going on in his head, unless there's more than one person home. Unless Eren has got an internal fight.
His mind is fractured like Reiner. Maybe they're more alike than we realize.
One of the clues, I think, is when he looks at Armin and he goes, you are still visiting Annie, aren't you? You've got an enemy inside you. And I go, oh, he's saying there's enemies inside him. And then he goes, I am who, I've always been this way. And we go, no, you haven't. You haven't always been this way, right? It's okay to be like, listen, my views have changed. I've matured. I've become a different person. He doesn't say it. He says, I am who I've always been, which means to me, hey, I'm partially still in control of this thing, even though other factors are going on. There's something else going on here. I think that could be his way of like communicating to them. But the thing that he says that to me is like, okay, we know that he's not telling the truth is he goes, I've always hated you, Mikasa. And I'm like, okay, now we know you're not telling 100% of the truth. Now we know that there's something else going on here at this table talk. I think it could be 3D chess. Eric thinks it could be something else.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it is the 3D chess move. It's possible. It just isn't clear to me, and I'm just really mad that he like said those hurtful things to Mikasa. I'm just like, you freaking jerk.
I'm mad that he beat the crap out of Armin too.
Yes, both of those things.
Yeah.
Okay, Nate the Great here is making some points too about some of the Historia stuff. Just to get back to that for a second. The MPs did say that someone must have told Historia about their plan to turn her into a Titan in order to incentivize her to have a kid to forestall that. That's a very good point.
That's true.
Didn't
that
she
may
know
establish
about
the
that?
opposite of what I was just saying, actually. Because you're right. I do remember that, and they're saying like, they did have a plan to turn her into a Titan or something thereabout.
Well, I mean, Zeke laid out his plan, and Historia agreed to be turned into a Titan, and she agreed to have a kid.
Yeah, well, she didn't agree to be turned into a Titan. She agreed to have a kid.
I remember her saying, "I'll do what you want. I'll take your power when you're done."
Go back and watch that. All I know is that changes the math a little bit. You're right. So if they can't use Historia, then they do need Zeke. That would make more sense, to be honest.
Yeah.
The other comment was, he's saying that Xaver came to the conclusion it had to be a Titan touching the founding Titan, independent of any info from Paradise. I don't remember that part specifically either. We did just watch that episode. Maybe that went by me again. It's very possible. But
it seemed to me like he was speculating. It didn't seem like he knew that for sure. When I just rewatched it like a few days ago.
Same, yeah.
And it seemed to me when he was talking to Zeke that they were speculating what they think is the
because he has a bunch of Titan memories. Like that was kind of his thing.
He went through the paths,
and could access a bunch of like memories, and that's how he's the one who, because he's the one who knew about the whole like. Apparently, he's the only one who knew about. Oh well, you can change the biology of all Eldians in some way, and then that's when they like again. I'm like, why not just change your biology so they can't become Titans? Why delete them as a race by making them like? And you're fooling yourself. You think, oh well, the more humane ways, just let them die off without having children. I'm like, that is not. Sorry, no.
Yeah. Nate says that during the meeting with Azumabito, where Zeke's plan was detailed, Historia volunteered to both become a Titan and to have kids. Eren vehemently opposed both at the table.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I remember.
Could kill a child, so they want to wait till afterwards. It's it forestalls that point. That's why they need Zeke.
Okay.
I do.
That makes more sense.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm on board. You persuaded me.
Mercer also says, Eren says to Zeke, "There's no greater salvation than never being born into this world." That to me doesn't seem like Eren. No, that's exactly anti-Eren. That's the opposite of what an Eren would say. Yeah. And Zeke doesn't know Eren enough, I think, to be like, "Oh, that's the exact opposite of how you were you were born," or whatever, right? Yeah, they would be repeating the cycle of the royal family eating each other, and Historia would be forced to have as many children as possible.
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right. That's making a little bit more sense.
Sure.
All right, let's do quick predictions and we can be done.
Did we get to the end of this episode?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. The Eren screams.
I mean, basically the last, while they're all in the prison cell still going, what the hell are we going to do?
Yeah.
Eren's just screaming the whole time while soldiers are being machine gunned to death from the air and from rooftops, and they're just shredding the crap out of everybody.
The carnage is intense.
It's bad, man.
Okay, so let's just go next episode.
We're going to go into predictions.
Yeah.
But not spoilers, because we don't know what's going to happen.
We actually don't know.
Don't forget to take off your stuff.
Oh, here it comes.
Floor, guys. Come on.
Here it comes.
Thank you guys
jackets are
for
off.
listening to our podcast. If you want, you can check us out on YouTube. You can see visually there. You can listen on any podcast app.
Yes.
You can watch our reactions and follow us twitch.tv/beyondthebasementpodcast. And you can find us Sundays at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Right here.
Pacific Standard Time.
And if you're not into the predictions,
The
because
only time we should have.
we have at least a few people who are like, no, they're also anime onlys and they don't know what's going to happen. They're like, I don't want to find out. And I also don't want to hear any, because I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't
Now's
know
your
what's
time
gonna
to turn it
happen.
off.
We don't know what's
Okay.
going to happen, so genuinely, like, we're just spitballing here, and a lot of our predictions are completely wrong. So.
Pretty sure Levi's going to die.
I don't think so. I think Levi's alive, but we
I
don't
hope
find
I'm
out.
wrong. If I keep saying it enough, maybe I'll be wrong.
No, we just don't find out for several. It's going to be episodes. It's going to be at least a handful of episodes before we find Hanji and
Predict
Levi.
Hanji
think
will
so?
cry.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, the good news now is we have kind of a third piece. So, like, the three big pieces that we were like, okay, we're really curious to find out is what's going on with Historia and her baby, and what the background is on that.
Annie.
What's going on with Annie, and now what's going on with Levi is what is interesting. Some pieces that are going to come out that may not come out immediately.
Yeah.
What do you think Eren is screaming at the very end?
I think he's calling for Zeke. I was thinking
I
that the
thought so,
whole
too.
time. I know he doesn't have like a Titan scream necessarily, but
Yeah, Zeke showing up at this fight is like a given. Again, I think the trailer spoils it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that like Zeke shows up in this fight.
Oh, 100%.
I'm saying
He's-
as the Beast Titan.
yeah, as
Yes.
Beast,
Yeah.
he's gonna go Beast and like
So I think
start throwing crap and just making us hate everything.
yeah.
'Cause that's what he does.
Well, but this is new Zeke. This is no glasses Zeke. So we're about to find out.
I'm pretty sure he's gonna make me hate everything. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He's still, it's just his thing.
He does. That's what he does. I don't know. I don't really know much to say. Everything else, all my predictions are just things.
I have predictions based on the opening credits. Like obviously, we think Annie's gonna come out. I think Eren is gonna figure out how to bring her out somehow.
Yeah, I'm really stoked for that, man. Annie's one of the biggest
don't think
keys.
Because
So-
they have the scene where he's holding the
Yes.
egg-shaped
A crystal.
thing,
But that's
and
also
then it seems like it melted away from her face.
okay. But I don't think. Okay, I think the scene with Eren holding the crystal is right after they show the Warhammer Titan, which is a flashback. It clearly is a cut from the last part of the season, and then it shows it with the crystal, and I'm like, I think that may just be the Laura Tiber thing because that's what he was doing when he freaking ate he had the jaw Titan, of course. But I'm saying like,
Interesting. Okay.
I think that one's a call back to that moment, and I think that I don't think Eren gets her out of the crystal. I think Armin does. Almost for sure.
Maybe
I think Armin. Somebody has to convince her to do it. And
to come out of her shell.
Oh, she can self do it.
Maybe.
You
I
you
think no.
so?
Yeah, I think she's in there. Yes.
Wow.
Would it be crazy if she could hear everything the whole time that Armin's been going and visiting her and talking to her?
She's
and
like,
she's
shut
just like,
up.
I think that's a given. Why? Like that's gonna happen, and there's gonna be we're gonna find a whole slew of things that happen between the two of them. 'Cause
mean,
Armin
they
has a
do-
Titan. You got Titan powers. They're gonna have some kind of something.
You think she's on the other plane in the paths right now?
Maybe,
That's
I
a
don't know.
really
They
this is
definitely do
likely.
show her in her Titan form in
she's
the opening
connecting.
credits, so we know she's going to at least join the fight at some point.
I don't know if she even joins this specific fight. I just know that she comes out, and I don't really. I don't know. We don't know where they're keeping her, do we?
Those sweet cheeks. The only redeemable thing about Zeke, I don't know about that. He's a good football player, or baseball player, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, his beard is actually really nice.
What do we think Historia's going to have, a boy or a girl, or twins?
Oh wow, Skywalker.
It's a
twins.
girl.
You think
Or
so?
it's a boy. I'm torn. I'm torn because if it's a girl, I'm like, okay, Ymir's trying to be reborn. Something's happening. The powers are trying. The paths are connecting. This is royal blood. Plus all these things happen if Eren's the father. If it's not, maybe it's a boy. Maybe it's like I think somebody's trying to like. It's definitely something. I don't think it's a normal birth by any means. Is all I'm saying.
No.
Will Historia live through the birth?
Too shady.
Yeah,
Who's
we
the
gotta
baby
find
daddy?
out. Yeah, we need to have a
It's
motel.
Annie! I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. Okay, but seriously, who's known her since childhood? That is the one clue that we got. The only person that knew her from childhood, Ymir, is dead. Because she was, and they're all dead. Because she was a Rice family, not bastard child, but whatever.
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. She's Rod Rice's. So her mom, dead. Her sister, Frida, or whatever, the half sister, they're all dead. Rod Rice is dead.
Yeah.
Everybody that we know of her family, they're all dead. So
he had to have been some random farmhand.
That's what they say about him.
I would guess.
That's what they say about him.
But that just seems so suspicious
to me. But do we know who the... Does it matter? Am I going off on
no hint of who this guy, this random dude is who's just... It seems like he's just her bodyguard. But
the way they were like, oh, by the way, she's pregnant and it's totally by some random guy you've never heard of in the entire story up until now. Like,
it's
little sus.
It's very weird.
Oh, yeah, Levi's dead. You can't check his pulse, though. I got to go. Okay. All right. I think there's more than meets the eye there. Certainly, I think it does have to do with the end. I'd be surprised if it didn't. What do you guys think happens with the Azumobitos?
Yeah, I think she'll come back into play at some point. She's
gonna come back.
Do you think that they come back with like a little army to like help out Eren or help out somebody?
Yeah. So my prediction a while ago was, because remember, there is some kind of flying craft that comes into the equation. They were literally talking about it, like a boat or something. I'm a little foggy on it right this second, but yeah, they have an airplane or something.
They had some kind of experimental machine.
Yeah, but remember the crystals? I don't even know if they say. I think my theory was that it flies. Remember the crystals that have the power?
Yes.
Their island is full of this natural resource. I'm willing to bet you that Azumobitos show up with whatever, and essentially
maybe they will. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe they'll be the airplane.
They show up with the plane or something like that, and the island is able to power it, and then I think. This maybe has something to do. The rumbling kind of gets figured in there somewhere, but the Azumobitos show back up with the plane. I'm almost positive.
Okay.
And
do they whisk off Eren or something like that?
Yeah,
or they whisk
somebody
off
escapes.
Mikasa and they get away from the island for a minute. Because you predicted last season that the majority of time isn't spent on Paradise. You were thinking, right?
Yeah, and I think that may still be the case. I think this first bit has to be.
You think we go to like the Asian area?
This fight has to this fight ends one way or the other. Do
you think Zeke and Eren will touch and start the rumbling and some random muscle titan will just pick them up and carry them off the island somewhere into the sunset?
I mean, I don't know about that.
Okay, deep cut here though. The end of the rumbling song shows that the rumbling, the giant titans walking over everything.
Yeah.
And the very last bit is their foot coming down
on the butterfly. The
world is cruel
and also very beautiful.
But also beautiful. But looks like, is cruelty going to triumph over the beauty?
Yeah.
Is the butterfly going to get smushed?
Yeah. Well, I've been predicting that for a while. I said, listen, if people are upset about the ending at all, it may be because
Eren just uses the rumbling to flatten the world and start over.
Yeah, but it doesn't turn out like we thought.
Yeah, is Eren going to be... there's several themes like this where it's like, okay, the only real way to bring peace to everybody is to enslave everybody. The only real way to bring peace to everybody is if I rule the galaxy, basically. The only real way
to... Thanos' thing,
Right. Yeah, the only real way... Everyone's so wicked. Eren, he wanted to get outside of the... he wanted to get outside the walls. He gets outside the walls. He goes, oh my gosh, it's worse out there than it was in here.
That's what I've been saying, yeah.
This was paradise, running from Titans and hiding compared to how terrible the rest of the world is. You know what I've got to do? That moment definitely changed him, right? He goes, if I kill everybody out there, will I finally have peace? Maybe then he goes, the only way to really have peace is to flatten the rest of the world, and I'll rebuild a world here in peace, in safety.
Oh, dang. My other prediction. Sorry.
Yeah.
You just reminded me of it. One of my predictions, Zeke and Eren touch. When they do, it doesn't go like they think.
Yes.
They go to the plane. They go to the
They go to where Ymir is and have a conversation about what really is going on.
That's what I think.
Okay, but can they control what happens?
I will lose my mind.
Don't know. All I know is that Kasaver is not 100% like they're all a little foggy.
Something will be happening though, because when Zeke was in the plane, his body was doing stuff while his brain was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So even if that's what happens, I feel like something else will be happening in the physical world at the same time.
Sure, but I'm just saying that they think they've got it all figured out. Like, all we need to do here is touch and just do this thing, and it's all going to work out. Like, I don't know. I think it might go differently than you thought.
Yeah, very interesting. But what's really interesting to me is everything we've seen of Ymir. I in the past I thought was ominous, but recently the last bit didn't look ominous. It looked like peaceful.
Yeah,
she was helping. She rebuilt Zeke,
Yeah, she doesn't look like
Grisha was
devil.
telling Zeke, that Ymir was not a bad person, and she helped culture, and she helped build cities, and she helped build
Yeah, with the Titans.
Different art forms and architecture and all this kind of stuff. So it seems like there's two very different narratives happening surrounding her. So it would be interesting if what Grisha and whatever her name was, I know it, I can't think of her name.
His former wife?
His first wife, yeah.
Carla is Eren's mom. The other Mrs.
Frick,
Yeager.
I can't think of it. Yeah. Anyway, whatever her name was, they were telling Zeke that Ymir was a builder and
Dinah
Fritz. Anyway,
yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if their history was actually the true history and not.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What do you guys think about this fight? How is this fight going to end?
Badly for everyone.
Do you think Reiner gets killed in this fight?
No, again, the trailer just kind of gives away too much. Like, okay, so Eren and Zeke go to like meet up or whatever. Gabby shoots Eren in the head with the sniper rifle. Like, I'm somewhat confident in all of that. Reiner's Titan is just kind of like taken down for them. I don't think Reiner like dies or anything like that. But like Eren and Zeke have to go and try and like make an escape somehow. And I think it's kind of just them two trying to make some kind of escape. Meanwhile, the other Titans are essentially dealt with. I think that the Jaegers are essentially dealt a really serious. They've been dealt a blow already.
Yeah.
Just by this episode.
I was going to comment on that actually. Think about the Jaegerists who Flock goes in and he recruits from the military.
Yeah.
Brand spanking new,
fresh blood.
Not
They're
the
mostly
hardened
dead.
Scouts.
Yeah.
Not these guys who have seen Titan combat. Not these guys who are the good fighters.
Well, and they can now announce the sterilization plan to everybody and be like, "Hey, you still on board with this?" They're freaking trying to make it to where you can't even freaking.
But I'm just saying, even though they were in this fight, yes, they were against machine guns, but I don't think they were the best fighters, period. They were probably relatively new on the ODM
great.
gear, like maybe 6 months of training. I don't know, but they hadn't. How many Titan kills those guys have? How many, probably none.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Mike
Keith
wants to know,
didn't think much of their combat skills.
do you think Eren has an ulterior motive other than the rumbling or the euthanasia plan?
Yes. I don't know what the heck it is.
It's certainly in my high probability. Do you think it's to solidify everybody? It's to bring all the Titans together and destroy them.
I've been saying that for a long time. I've been saying that since season 3. That I think ultimately where this thing goes is that Eren ends up having to.
He's just going to crystallize
all
and
the
fuse everybody
somehow.
together somehow.
Well, I think he's able to essentially collect all the powers and like put them back into like the demon or whatever and seal it, but for 2,000 years.
And he has to fuse himself. He has to die. I don't think Eren gets out of this alive.
I don't think so either, especially with the way that opening ended where he disappeared into a rainbow cloud of mist. I'm pretty sure Eren's going to die. That's how this will end.
Yeah.
Whether he will die peacefully or in a pool of blood remains to be seen, but
yeah, whether he chooses to go of his own volition or he's forced to, or he has to take the powers down or something's going on.
Yeah.
That's certainly interesting. So you're not sure how this fight ends. But you think that Eren gets out with
Eren and Zeke make it out. I think the Jaegers are dealt a fairly serious blow.
The Scouts are
for
free.
Reasons. The Scouts are out. I just think that like
they connect with Peak. You think, and Reiner, and they go, "Hey, here's what we got to do to stop Eren and Zeke."
I mean, it's at least possible. The little bit of the rumbling thing even happens right here.
Peak and Armin's minds together.
Oh yeah, gosh, that would be
I would
insane.
Love that. No.
That
I would love that more
really
than
cool.
Peak. Armin, like basic Pick and Reiner, even if they could convince them to stay, if they could be like, Magath, I know you guys like F off, like go home, we're here now.
Even Magath, if he wants to join, I'm stopping the end of the world.
Yeah, remember the enemy of my enemy is my friend. A weird alliance could form here, and I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There will be more twists and turns because it's Attack on Titan.
Where does Eren rank right now among your favorite characters? In the show or in all of fiction?
You mean, is there anybody above Connie? Like, he's kind of the
Shad Connie.
Papa Browse.
Papa Browse.
Papa Browse? Okay,
yeah,
all
right there. Niccolo and Sasha married in a happy field somewhere.
Making fries and seafood.
Babies.
Yeah.
Eren's a really interesting character. The character development thus far has been really great. It's hard to say from this perspective, not knowing the end. If the end justify all the character developments we saw in season 4, great character.
He's Rudimikasa.
I think I'm going to reserve my favorite anything until this show's finished because I still don't know who the heck Annie is. I still don't fully know who Gabby is. I still don't fully know who Falco is. Like, we're still getting to know characters are still developing. So
certainly, but I think in terms of top intriguing characters, Eren is certainly in my top 5.
Agreed.
Very intriguing, very well written, very interesting. But I think I agree with Isayama at this point. Reiner to me is the more intriguing character. He's the character I like better.
He has a lot of stuff happening. He has a lot of facets in his personality.
So
He's the one I want to come full circle. And
he has taken me on an emotional roller coaster ride like no other character, I will say, because I loved him, then I hated him, and now I'm like, I feel bad for you.
You thought it was the Eren show.
I want you to win.
The main character is actually Reiner. It's actually been Reiner the whole time. You just didn't get introduced to him until much later. So.
Yep. It's just like the village.
We should at least end our recording for the sake of, YouTube/podcasters.
Also, we've been here for 2 hours.
We like you guys. If you're still listening,
thanks for hanging out with us. You guys are the best.
We appreciate you guys, man.
Cheers.
It's good to be back. Thank you for all the encouraging messages, emails, and stuff. Like, we see those. We appreciate those. And we're happy to be back. If you guys have some questions, you kick them in the chat. We'll be around just for a few minutes, and then we will see you next week.
All right, dudes.
1, 2, 3.
Hey guys, thanks again for watching and listening to our show, Beyond the Basement Podcast. If y'all are enjoying it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever else you listen to our show. Check out the description below for links to our awesome Attack on Titan merchandise. And join us live on Sunday nights on Facebook for all of Season 4. And some of our best content is on YouTube, including me, so go ahead and check that out. And lastly, if you guys have any questions or just want to chat with us, please email us at beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you guys in the next video.